In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
I've had to keep my mouth shut for the past few years.
Good.
The prosecution against me, the ability for the U.S. federal government to use my words against me. But the idea that anything that I'm saying now is going to make me more of a target than I already am. Just as a son, as a man, this motherfucker, the way that he talks about my dad, come on, man, fuck him.
Wow.
And again, sorry for my language.
Jeez.
He is obsessed. And I tell you the reason why he's obsessed. Because unlike anyone else, my dad kicked his ass like a rented mule and beat him by 7.5 million votes.
Wow.
Got more votes than anyone that has ever run for president of the United States of America. 81 million votes. That's why he hates my dad.
I doubt it.
You are fake news.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
Very fake news.
We're not paid actors. It really happened.
He touched young people.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes!
All right, America, go to the YouTube right now.
Dude, Matt straight up sucks.
How dare you?
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live!
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Sunday, November 16th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight. Hold on. Is our friend Skulldugger making his Sunday debut. Welcome.
Saddle up, partner.
Hello.
If you listen to the Wednesday stream, you'll recognize Skulldugger as a frequent caller. He's sitting in the Sunday shotgun seat for the first time. So Godspeed to you, sir. Great guest this evening. In about a half hour, Bearing will join. We'll talk about his latest material, whatever else is going on down under. But in the news for discussion tonight, yes, we are still talking about him.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
I know you called into the show on Wednesday night, Skulldugger, and you're I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but the point of your call was, I don't care about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. I don't care about the Epstein files. And I know what you meant by that, and I think people who listen to this show regularly do.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fitting. Hey, I got Skulldugger to sit in on Sunday, and guess what the news is? It's more
all Epstein. Wall-to-wall Epstein.
So we're going to make you care about Epstein by the end of the stream. Not that you haven't before, but point being, you were a little Epsteined out, so it's fitting that you get to sit in on this one. But House members, including Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Marjorie Trader Greene, as she's been dubbed, they moved to force a vote in the House to compel the Justice Department to release the Epstein files, and for that effort, Trump is attacking them. And as part of the Epstein documents release that happened this week with the House Oversight Committee, you might actually care about this, Skulldugger, because I certainly do. I actually find this to be quite the revelation that a member of Congress, or a non-voting delegate in Congress for the Virgin Islands, which, by the way, is where Epstein Island is located, was actively texting Epstein during a House hearing with former Trump fixer Michael Cohen in 2019. Not just like, hey, bud, what's up? But he's advising her on questions to ask. And so for whatever belief you're supposed to have that Democrats care about the truth of the matter with Jeffrey Epstein, one of their members in Congress was taking directions from Epstein to get Trump in 2019, right before he killed himself or didn't kill himself. That was pretty crazy. So I look forward to talking about that. Did you see the Tucker Carlson video this week on Thomas Crooks? Did you catch that one?
I did.
Okay. Maybe you have some thoughts on that too, but the allegation there is that the FBI, and not just the Biden FBI, but the current Trump FBI, has been covering up a bunch of knowledge about Thomas Crooks, of course, the attempted Trump assassin from Butler, Pennsylvania last year. What was the name of the guy he was talking to on YouTube? Willie Tepes or something like that?
Yeah,
Did you catch that part of the video?
No.
I want to know who Will. That's the guy who was interacting with him on YouTube because he was commenting all over YouTube. Man, it would be cool for ex-politician to be assassinated. And Willie Tepes chimes in, yeah, bro, I love assassinations too. Let's chat. And then Thomas Crooks goes dark. Turns out to be an attempted assassin. Who is Willie Tepes? We don't know. And John Fetterman late this week took a great fall. Fell on his face, 20 stitches on his face. So unfortunately, Based Frankenstein, what I like to call him, he now has the Frankensteinian stitches on his face. We'll get into that a little bit. Supposedly it was just, now I guess I could believe, given his health history, that he did just fall due to natural causes. But it happened right after Fetterman was on CNN talking about how much progressives want to kill him. So we'll check in with some of that commentary too. Plus plenty of hoax hate, including Michelle Obama once again claiming to be a victim of white fashion standards and white hair standards. So we'll see. As a man with great hair, Skulldugger, maybe it was you who was imposing your hair standards on Michelle Obama this entire time. We'll catch up with your super chats as well. Got to say hello to our featured listener-owned business for the evening. That's our friends over at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. These are high-quality, handmade premium hardwood cutting boards, charcuterie boards, serving trays, and more, all of which are great gift options or the perfect piece to class up your kitchen or anywhere else in your home. All Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products are made in Colorado from premium domestic hardwood sources, and in addition to the quality, that's the best part about Kineo Mountain's products, they're fully customizable. Not just in materials, but in engravings too. So if you'd like to personalize a gift like Kineo has done for me, putting my YouTube channel logo on a cutting board for our family's kitchen, they can do that for you. If you have any custom project in mind, no matter how big or how small, Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing can make that a reality for you. Just get in touch at kineowood.com. But Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing has a special offer just in time for Christmas, because it is time to not only start thinking about your gifts, but start thinking about your home decorations. And they've got a wonderful carved Christmas ornament, Santa Claus ornament. You can get that in maple or walnut. Again, a great gift or a great piece for your tree. Like all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products, it is the absolute highest quality woodworking that will last you forever. Listeners of this show get 10% off all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products and services using promo code MATT10 at checkout. That's promo code MATT10 for 10% off everything at kineowood.com, kineowood.com, promo code MATT10. And don't forget about our friends at Hero Soap Company as well. Of course, you can get my signature soaps, Timberline and Old West, plus shampoo, conditioner, cologne, and more. But some of the classics are back at Hero Soap for a limited time, too. Also make a great Christmas gift, stocking stuffers. Lemongrass is calm and lemony sweet. Spearmint is fresh and cool, just like the chewing gum. Pick them up while supplies last. 10% off using promo code MCListener. Get a great all-natural, handmade in the USA product. Support military and first responder charities. Support this show. Save yourself some money as well. 10% off using promo code MCListener at HeroSoapCompany.com. Of course, find all the information for all of my deals at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. One quick announcement. I want to make sure people are aware before we hop into the news. But as you know, Skulldugger, Bible study is back on Fridays, 9 Eastern. If you want to hang out with Skulldugger and me, you can do that. In the fourth season of the study, we're studying Romans. It's led by listener Justin with some guidance by Rev Rogers, who led our third season study. We just finished on Ephesians. It's free and open to the public. You can participate on Zoom each and every week. It's interactive with questions and discussion. You can also listen later on demand through the Bible study podcast feed. It's all available on the Bible study page of my website. You can find it on the homepage, mattchristiansenmedia.com. You can participate live. You can just listen passively on demand later. mattchristiansenmedia.com for all the information. All right, Skulldugger. Now, I don't think you and I have discussed the national emergency that is Indian truck drivers named Singh, or have we? I can't remember.
I think we touched upon it. Yeah.
Oh, did we? Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, because I apologized on behalf of California for this being one of our primary exports at the moment.
That's right. And I should remember, since basically every show I've talked about this to some extent, it seems. But yes, the national emergency of Indian truck drivers named Singh crashing their rigs or otherwise making illegal maneuvers, causing great injury, causing death on the highways, on the interstate. And the natural question, like you were saying, Skulldugger, is, well, how are these guys, many of whom barely even or don't speak English, how are they getting licenses? And there are certain federal criteria for licensure, but licensure is mostly a state function, and your state, California, and other states are a little bit relaxed in who they're willing to license. In fact, two of those Singh guys, one was the crash in Southern California, the other in Florida, both got their commercial driver's licenses in California. But hey, you know what state might also be a problem? New York. It's its own problem for a bunch of reasons, but it might be a problem in this context. This story doesn't implicate Indian immigrants, but it is related, and it's going viral on X over the weekend. It's from last month, actually, but it is relevant. New York State DMV employees are among 7 people accused of running a CDL permit scam. Under the scam, a woman named Jamie Middleton would show up and take the written test for applicants disguised to look like the person who was applying. Now, sometimes that person would be a man, sometimes that person would be a woman, didn't matter. She would do her best to look like that person regardless. And the costume only had to be so good because there were DMV workers who were part of the scam too. See, the idea is, she would show up looking plausibly like the applying person. There would be a DMV agent in on the scam, and for clearing the written test for the applicant, they would each collect something between $1,500 and $3,000. So here's some local reporting on this scheme.
Look at each person facing the camera in each of these images. They are all the same person, according to prosecutors, who say the woman who posed as all of these different men and women did it for dangerous reasons. The Nassau District Attorney calls it a corruption ring at the DMV in Garden City. That's where, she says, 35-year-old Jamie Middleton took commercial driver's license, or CDL, written exams for 7 different people. Investigators say that each time she'd use disguises, sunglasses, and surgical masks to look like a different person taking the exam.
For the right price, they'd allow anyone to get a CDL permit.
The DA said 3 workers at the DMV were in on it with Middleton, the test taker, including Middleton's sister, Kanesha, a supervisor at the DMV. Workers would have on their computers a photo of the person who was supposed to take the test, but they'd let Middleton, who's clearly not the person on the computer screen, take it instead. She'd split a $1,500 to $3,000 payment for each bogus test with accomplices in the DMV.
It's not against the law, ho, fuck you.
It is, in fact, against the law, Skulldugger.
I would hope so.
Yeah. I think there are some consequences, potentially, as we've seen materialize for unqualified people driving big rigs. But yeah, 7 people are charged in the 51-count indictment. Did you, I don't know if you saw this story. Did you see how they got caught? Or how she got caught, the costume lady?
No, I did not.
Well, even though she would pose as a man, as you can see here in a couple different iterations of her costuming, she didn't want to ruin her presumably expensive manicured nails. So the district attorney says the fingernails kind of gave it away.
I don't think nothing's funny about it.
All involved face between 2 and 7 years in prison if convicted. But this is an angle I hadn't considered in the ongoing issue with the commercial driver's licenses. Is there actual scamming going on in the licensure? As in, it's not just relaxed licensure standards, but there's active scamming going on. Certainly in New York and in your state in California, I could see that being part of the problem, though I don't know if they're going to these depths of costuming or not.
I mean, it definitely seems like there has to be some sort of link to the DMV here in California, because apparently it's not. I mean, we've got these two stories of these Indian truck drivers, but from what we've been hearing, it's a huge problem all over the place. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of them come from California. And
well,
so,
if you have any connections in Bay Area DMVs, see if you can work those connections and ask if anyone has seen this woman dressed up as Jafar coming into the DMV to present herself as some sort of generic Indian or Middle Eastern or, whatever kind of guy to get a CDL. I don't. She might be a part of it there too. But
yeah, she shows up with a turban on and
exactly. Well, let's get into it. The Epstein files saga continues. After a bipartisan effort, including Republicans Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, despite Speaker Mike Johnson's resistance and opposition, the House this week will indeed vote to compel the Justice Department to release everything it has on Jeffrey Epstein publicly. Now, is that going to matter and produce effects in the short term? Probably not, but we'll get to why they're doing this anyway. Massie and Democrat Congressman Ro Khanna have worked together to force the vote using a House procedure known as a discharge petition. And that allows a majority of House members to bring a vote to the floor, even if the Speaker doesn't want it. The discharge petition has the support of House Democrats plus 4 Republicans, including Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene. That is enough for the 218 vote threshold to do this. Now, why did this take so long? Why haven't they done this earlier? Well, because the House was shut down during the shutdown, they were on break. There was nothing going on. There was a pending Democrat congresswoman to swear in. Her name is Adelita Grijalva, I think is. Do you know how to pronounce that one? I need some kind of California Spanish reference here.
No, I'm going to give you full credit for having nailed that.
Okay, thank you.
Way to go.
But she's from Arizona. She's not even from California. But she's sworn in this week. That's the last vote that's necessary to make this move. Now, of course, you still have obstacles in the House and Senate to actually compel the Justice Department to release these documents. Massie does say he expects more Republican support ultimately than just the 4 who have signed on to this discharge petition. But even if they got it through the House with a majority, it has to go to the Senate where it would need a majority vote. It's no sure thing or even a likelihood that they have those votes there. And even if they did, you got Trump, who would never sign such a bill to compel such a thing unless he changes his mind for some unforeseeable reason. Maybe you get a veto-proof majority in both houses of Congress. I doubt it, but maybe. In which case, then you could compel the DOJ. But I think most of this is just about the exerting the political pressure on the Senate and on the president to try to get as much released from the Justice Department as they possibly can get. You have any thoughts on the political maneuver there?
Well, I mean, now that the shutdown is over and you have people reporting on, who were the winners and losers of the shutdown, this is the first major battle towards the midterms. This has 2026 written all over it. I think at this point it's going to be really difficult for any Republican whose seat is available in 2026 to have a no vote on this. To either vote no or to not vote at all. I think at this point, if you are a Republican whose seat is up in 2026, you have to jump in on this. I mean, the public has weighed in on this. Like, everybody just wants this stuff. Everybody just wants it out. We want to know what it is. We want to get it out there so we can move past it. If we're still dealing with this around the midterms, it's going to be a nightmare for everybody.
I heard Massie on ABC's Sunday show this morning saying, I know that there might be a lot of fear of Trump in the Republican Party and appearing to oppose him by supporting this, but you guys have to remember, obviously Trump is around for this next midterm, but after that, Trump is gone. So 2028, 2030, your elections in the near future beyond 2026, a no vote on this will be perceived by many as pedophile protection, is what he said.
Yeah.
Now, if you no vote on this and it goes away, is it going to go away until we get transparency on this? I don't know. But I do think that it will be a vote that is hard to defend for Republicans or Democrats who choose to vote no. I just wonder to what extent are midterm voters going to care about it. I think people care, and they should. I think we're all right to demand transparency on this, given that the DOJ says there were thousands of victims and we still have effectively nobody charged as being a participant in this 1,000-victim scheme. But will people care more about the economy? Will they care more about foreign policy issues? Whatever. Like, where will Epstein rank in the midterms and then going into 2028? We'll see. But for their disloyalty, for their betrayal, Trump is now he's turning on Thomas Massie. Actually, Trump has been hating on Thomas Massie for a long time, so that's not really news. But he's turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was one of his biggest cheerleaders in the House for a long time, with some Truth Social posts late in the week. Now, first was Thomas Massie, and Trump went after him for his recent marriage. Trump posted on Truth Social, "Did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party. Did he get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas," and ? Whoever your wife is. His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser.
Got him! Got him!
Now, for context, Thomas Massie's wife, Rhonda, died last year. They have 4 children together. Earlier this month, Massie married former Rand Paul staffer Carolyn Grace Maffa. As far as this election, there's something like $20 million being spent on ads and campaigns to primary challenge Massie in Kentucky. Trump is backing that, at least with his posts and with his words. But again, that's not necessarily new. That's Massie has earned Trump's criticism for opposing Trump's spending bills and other things. So that's pretty normal at this point. The breakup is actually with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Trump put out several posts about Marjorie Taylor Greene in the last few days. The main one is long, so I'll just paraphrase. Trump says, "Despite my record achievements on the border, taxes, transgender issues, and more, all I see wacky Marjorie Taylor Greene do is complain, complain, complain." As mentioned, he also called her Marjorie Traitor Greene.
Fucking owned, bitch!
He said, "I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking of people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, and they too are fed up with her and her antics. And if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support." So Trump is withdrawing his support and endorsement for her re-election next year. So if you're following at home, Skulldugger, I know you have been, but in the great Epstein Files saga, we have gone from campaigning on the issue, or at least Trump, when asked during the campaign, "Hey, would you release the Epstein files?" responding positively, saying, "We'll look into it, and that's something we would try to do." To say he campaigned on it maybe is a little bit unfair, because I don't think it was a focal point of the campaign, but he did respond positively to questions. Then you get in office, the Attorney General pledges to release the files, going on Fox saying, "We're all going to be shocked by the revelations. There are truckloads of Epstein files that have been hidden secretly in the Southern District of New York, but they've uncovered them and they're coming." Then we bring the social media personalities to the White House and they get their binders full of Epstein files that are actually nothing new. They're labeled Phase 1, implying that there will be multiple phases to the release, but Phase 2 is there are no more phases to this release. Then the Attorney General releases a letter saying, yeah, we looked into it. Remember, this is July. We looked into it, and really, there's no client list. Nobody else is implicated in this. There are 1,000 victims. That's what it says in this letter. But we've exhausted the search, and it would be inappropriate to release anything further, so we're not going to. Okay, then the whole thing became a Democrat hoax. Now Republican members of Congress who want more transparency are to be ousted and vilified. The other confusing thing about this timeline, Skulldugger, is now Trump is ordering the DOJ to investigate Democrat Epstein involvement. So in response to all of this new Epstein momentum, Trump posts later in the week Now the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax. I am directing Pam Bondi to investigate Epstein's relationship with Democrats, including Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions. And Pam Bondi immediately responds and says, yeah, I'm appointing a guy, Jay Clayton, a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, where they hid all the Epstein files. I'm appointing him to lead this investigation. We'll get right on it. And notably, this move contradicts what I was mentioning from the letter that we got in July. There is no client list. Yeah, there are a bunch of victims, but really we looked at all of this and there's nothing more to release. Now there's plenty more to look into, and we're going to get right on it. So if there is any sense to make of any of this, Skulldugger, can you try? What do you make of this?
I mean, it's getting harder by the day because, like you're saying, like the whole nature of what we might even be talking about shifts with every new leak from the Democrats or every report from the White House, and it's just like this is such a nebulous story that there's no way to predict what the actual ramifications are going to be when we're done playing with this political football.
It's been, to say hyped implies that it's like wrongfully so. Of course, the scandal that is Jeffrey Epstein deserves the scrutiny and attention it has received.
Yes.
I'm not implying that it doesn't, but I am saying that the degree to which this has been covered up for so long and hyped for so long also creates something of a self-fulfilling prophecy where no matter what you do, it's not going to be satisfying because it has been hyped beyond satisfaction. So it creates like an impossible situation. And what's really frustrating, because I think this is one of the, no, maybe it's not. It seems like it might be one of those things that we could all agree on. Pedophile's bad. We could have a moment of national unity. I suppose I'm giving a lot of people too much credit with that.
No, I mean, at this point, this is going to be the thing that we fight the next civil war over is going to be these stupid files.
I thought it was going to be the gay war. We're going to skip a step. It's going to be the pedophile war. That's what it's going to be. But one thing that actually, before I get into Democrats and Epstein, which is where I was going here, I did want to mention Thomas Massie's commentary on the investigation from the DOJ. And this is an angle I think people should consider too. And I don't know this is for sure what's going on, but it's something that might be going on. He said, I worry that this new DOJ investigation is just a way to stop the effort from Congress to get these files because they'll just say, oh, active investigation. Sorry, can't turn them over.
And I have another concern about these investigations that he's announced. If they have ongoing investigations in certain areas, those documents can't be released. So this might be a big smokescreen, these investigations, to open a bunch of them as a last-ditch effort to prevent the release of the Epstein files.
Now that assumes a lot because it assumes Congress is successful in getting such a bill through itself and beyond the president, which, as I mentioned, is a long way off. But at this point, I have to assume that moves are strategic rather than in the interest of transparency because almost nothing has been done in the interest of transparency so far.
Right.
Now, I mentioned that maybe we could all get along on the principle that pedophiles are bad, and to the extent many people may have been involved with a very wealthy one, maybe we could all agree on some transparency there. Of course not. Of course, it's all political, and I think that a lot of what Trump is saying right now and directing the DOJ, go get my political enemies using Epstein as a tool. And the DOJ is saying, yes. Okay, that's a political interest, not a transparency interest. It sounds like I'm being very critical of Trump and the Trump administration. And yeah, I am, insofar as they've promised transparency and haven't delivered it. But that's not to imply that Democrats aren't doing the exact sort of political dishonesty that Trump has accused them of and that others have accused them of as well. We got all of these emails, all of these documents from the House Oversight Committee this week. And Democrats, as we talked about on Wednesday, they've pulled these emails referencing Donald Trump that appear to exonerate Trump, actually, but they act like it's bad for Trump somehow. But they're now pulling quotes from Epstein's emails saying that Trump is a bad guy. So it's like I have to double check these tweets to make sure they're from the actual Democrat Party account, and they are. They're not. This is not some satire. This is not some bit. But here's one. Jeffrey Epstein in 2017 emailing saying, I've met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, which is saying a lot because Jeffrey Epstein has met Jeffrey Epstein. So he knows pretty bad people. And then there's another one that they put out there. Oh, breaking, newly released emails show Jeffrey Epstein thought Trump was one of the worst people he knew. Not one decent cell in his body. He's dangerous. So Democrats, I guess, are putting this out there under the implication or the assumption that we should trust Jeffrey Epstein's judge of character without apparently realizing that when you put something out, a known bad guy says Trump is a bad guy, that has the effect of making us think that maybe Trump's actually a good guy based on what you're saying here. But what, did you see these posts? I couldn't believe that they did this. What are your thoughts on it?
So the Democrats would like us to draw a line and have Jeffrey Epstein on one side and Trump on the other, and they think that that somehow is an own against Trump.
Apparently so. Yeah,
I don't understand this maneuvering. Like, you're just making Trump look better because he's on the opposite side of Epstein. So
it's incoherent with itself. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it goes against what they've been trying to maneuver for the last 4 or 5 years, and that was, that Trump and Epstein were best friends. And it's like, well, obviously not.
Yeah. Trump is a bad guy for being friends with Epstein, but also trust what Epstein says about Trump. I don't know. There's no point in trying to make sense of it because it's all political utility. But
and I mean, like I said on Wednesday, too, like, why would we trust anything Epstein has to say? Like, what?
No, you can't. Wait, yeah, of course not. But you know who does? A member of Congress when she's conducting official business in a House hearing. I'll have to save that for after Bering's segment because there's plenty to talk about with Stacey Plaskett, the U.S. Or the delegate to Congress for the Virgin Islands. But before we get into that, I'll take a break. I'll get to Bering. And Skulldugger, I will see you at the top of the hour, all right?
All right.
All right. I will be right back.
Stand back and stand by.
My guest tonight is Bering. Find his YouTube channel and X accounts linked in the description. Welcome back. Thanks for making time.
How are you, mate?
I am well.
I was going to try. Okay? Is my volume okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool.
I was going to try some kind of like Aussie accent joke, but of all the world's accents,
you pussied out. Yeah,
it's like one of the toughest to do. I don't know. It seems like I think Aussies can do American accents better than Americans can do Aussie accents. Just my sense. So
yeah, it's because all the movies are American. You know what I mean?
Well, what's been going on down under? I watched a bunch of your recent videos lately, and we got plenty to talk about there. But what's going on with you and your family? What's going on with Australian news? Whatever you want to talk about.
I have recently, I live on the Gold Coast, right? Now, the Gold Coast is kind of like, it's where all the theme parks are. It's nice weather, all the theme parks. And we recently bought like a family annual pass to the theme parks because my daughter's 6, right? So we've been rocking the theme parks, being like tourists in our own city. And I have recently discovered that my 6-year-old daughter does not have the fear gene, and it is amazing to watch. She goes on the scariest, like not the scare. I went on the DC Rivals Hyper Coaster yesterday, which is like the craziest roller coaster in the Southern Hemisphere. But she goes on like the next tier down, and she just giggles all the way down. It's so funny to watch. So my new hobby is taking my 6-year-old daughter on these scary roller coasters and tricking my wife into believing that they're not scary because She's petrified of roller coasters, so we've just been scaring the shit out of my wife and giggling at her. It's been so fun. How are you? What's with the hair?
Oh, the hair. What's with the hair is I don't have any anymore. So I've confronted that. I've decided to go full dad mode, and that is just understanding that life takes its course.
So you're owning it, man. That's a good way to be.
I don't really have a choice anymore. You know, it's like
life
forces your hand sometimes.
You could go the turkey hair plugs route, but
I don't know if I can. Well, with a growing family, you know, I don't know if a trip to Turkey is in the budget, but
the growing family. So I mentioned to you when you reached out to me, you've got 3 kids now. So you've had another one since we last spoke, I think.
Yeah. You were on sometime, maybe June, July, I can't remember. But yeah, with third boy, born September 19th. Apparently, all I do is make boys.
Mate, you're an insemination sprinkler, is what you are. You're impossible to stop.
I have a good record going. Yeah. So, but it's funny that that you mentioned theme parks because we don't have a lot of those around here. As you know, I live in the wilderness of Montana, and there's pretty much nothing around us, and I'm safe from all the world's nonsense here. But that means we don't have a lot of like big city attractions.
Yeah.
But every once in a while we go visit family or we take a trip elsewhere. But around this time last year when we took my oldest son to the Mall of America in Minnesota, we were riding rides with him. It's fun when you reach the apex of their fear because they love it until they don't. I wish I had the video. I got this great video of me and my son on one of those rides that goes way up high and then it kind of falls a little bit.
Oh, like a Tower of Terror type deal.
It's not really like super scary like that. It's like you sit in a seat and it kind of falls. It's meant for kids. But he did not like the falling feeling, and so he's just screaming, "I don't like it! I don't like it!" And it's me and him and pretty much nobody else because it was in the middle of the day on a Thursday. But yeah, man, I'm glad to hear the family's well. That's awesome, and I'm glad that you get a little bit of. It's so fun to watch your kids grow up in that way, and when they're ready for a little bit of fear factor like that, it's really cool.
Yeah, and because we live very close to all these theme parks, and so it's kind of like the benefit over tourists that come here is we can go for 2 hours on a Saturday morning, you know, and it's nothing. It's just something to sort of fill time. Whereas if you're a tourist, you got to go all day, and it becomes a big thing, and you're sweating by the end of it, and it's shit. But yeah, so we can sort of pick and choose when we want to go, how long we want to go for. So yeah, that's my hobby at the moment.
Well, I wanted to ask you about some stuff in Australia because I was watching you and your lovely wife Sugar Tits, your video on the Snapocalypse here in the U.S., which of course is resolved. Don't worry, we're not going to starve to death.
Yeah,
you guys were laughing at.
They got their money. They got their food.
Yeah.
I bet there's some good videos out there of like just shopping trolleys among shopping trolleys at the supermarket. I
think it's going to take a while for the benefits to hit. I don't know. I don't have an EBT card myself, so I don't know, and it varies by state because it's a state administered program. But you guys were laughing at some of the TikTok videos and people reacting to the lapse in availability for their benefits. But my producer assistant, Tim, he's an Aussie as well. And he was telling me that you guys get whatever assistance you may, whether it's housing, food. I don't know how the healthcare system works, but he was saying that if you get food benefits, it's actually direct deposited to your bank account. Is that true? Do you know that?
Yeah, it is. I think, I mean, there's a government housing program, like I think you guys call that Section 8. I think there's a similar thing. Now, I'm not sure if the rent money gets deposited direct into people's accounts or not, but I know there's definitely not a food one. So there's just like whatever benefit you're on, it just gets deposited as cash. So, of course, that turns into smack and heroin and Christ knows what. Yeah, not all, but you know, it's like America. There's a lot of exploiting the system.
Well, that's the thing is, at first that sounds so ridiculous. Like, how can you give people effectively cash? Because what guarantee is there that they're not going to go buy the sort of things that you're talking about? But we've really deceived ourselves in the United States. I was looking into this a few weeks ago in Seattle. When you have something that, if not cash, is still an asset to be sold, can be converted to cash. In Seattle, they're doing exactly that. They take their EBT cards, people who receive them and may have drug addictions, and they sell them to these scammers. If the EBT card has, say, $500 on it, they sell it to the scammer for like $250 in cash.
Yeah.
So the drug addict gets cash, goes and buys drugs. The scammer gets food value, goes and buys food from the store, and then sells it back to the store for cheap. So they make cash there, and then the store gets effectively to sell the food twice. This is like an industry that has grown around this, which is really it's incredible.
That's not the worst. The worst one that I heard of that we mentioned briefly was that apparently some people will go and buy a carton of bottled water, and they'll go out to the parking lot and empty the water, and then go and recycle the bottles for 10 cents a pop. You know what I mean? Like. Oh,
okay.
It's infuriating, isn't it? It's infuriating.
Yeah.
So they're whittling the value down to like 10% of the product just so they can get it in cash. But I tell you, the bad thing, the real bad thing about the Australian welfare setup is someone just mentioned this in the chat, is New Start or Job Seeker or the dole as we call it here. There's no time limit sort of thing. So my understanding is you've got to be looking for a job, but you can just go on like a job hunting website like Seek or something, just bang out a couple of applications, and then when they call you, just say, yeah, I'm diabetic, I'm 600 pounds, I'm a fucking alcoholic drug addict. So you never get a job, but as long as you've ticked a couple of boxes, you can be indefinitely on these, job seeker allowance payments.
And that was a big controversy with the reforms to the SNAP program, the food stamps program we have here. The prior spending bill before the shutdown required people to look for work in the way you're describing, be working, looking for work. But if you couldn't get a job, let's say you were trying and for whatever reason, health condition, maybe you have a criminal record, something like that, you could volunteer part-time. Like you could go work at a local charity for 20 hours a week. That would qualify you.
So you should.
And I guess that was Medicaid, maybe, not food stamps. But the point is, that was deemed controversial. Like the idea of volunteering your time, using your time productively part-time as a condition for public assistance, that was too harsh in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Can you tell me about World War Poo? Because I didn't follow this closely, but I know that you had a video on it, and I want to know about it.
I've ever been prouder of a video title. That video I called World War Poo Indian Shitzkrieg, and I think that is just the best YouTube title anyone has ever thought of.
Yeah.
I was laughing myself, I was bigging myself up, I was high-fiving myself. That was epic. But yeah, World War Poo Indian Shitzkrieg. So Tyler Oliveira went to India to participate in the what is it? It's Gamatapura, I think it is. Ironically.
In Karnataka. We'll go with that.
There it is, Gamaputra, I think. So it's basically a festival where they throw cow poo at each other and roll in cow poo. And he simply documented it and put out a teaser, and then instantly had billions and not billions, but had a lot of Indians calling him a racist for documenting this thing that actually happens. So he put out a big tweet saying, "Look, I regret this decision. I didn't mean to offend anyone. I take it back. I apologize. My family's getting doxxed." Left the internet hanging for, I think it was 3 or 4 days, then came out and said, "Suck! I'm releasing it." So that was good fun.
I assume the Indian harassment was real, though. Or it became real after the fact, or it was real before he even released the video?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, we did, Sugar Tits and I did 2 videos. I think I did one by myself and I did one with Tits. And even they got a bit of kickback, There's a lot of defensive Indians out there, it seems.
Well, I don't understand the racist angle. Not that I'm sure it probably doesn't have a lot of credibility, but it's just what is the allegation of racism? It's a real thing that goes on in this particular area, and there are photographs of it happening, and he's doing a video of it happening. So what's unfair about documenting it?
Well, there's nothing unfair about it. Did you watch the documentary?
I haven't seen his video, no.
Wow. I mean, the guy he does an interview with the guy who collects the cow poo. And he, I mean, I shouldn't be spoiling it, but he says, yeah, look, cow shit is actually fantastic. And look, if you just eat a little bit of it per day, there's scientific studies out there that prove that it actually cures cancer. So, you know, a little bit of cow shit a day keeps the cancer away.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did he, okay. So, but he's, did he show any of the craziest stuff coming at him, or like what was to what degree was the pushback? Like how harsh were people mad at him for this, or I don't know, is that overblown?
There was a heap of Indian media that sort of painted him out to be a racist sort of thing. But yeah, look, you just never know. I mean, there's so many Indian accounts that could be Indians, that could not be Indian. You know, yeah, I'm not sure.
Statistically, it's probably Indians, though. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the population? I know you said it wasn't billions, but isn't it though? Isn't it like 1 billion people in India or something like that?
Like, I think it's 1.3 or 4 billion or something like
wow.
that. Yeah.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you about, there apparently is movement to ban transgender athletes at the Olympics. I know you guys were talking about that too. So, things that seems like they should be obvious, but I guess they required scientific studies to reach conclusions on.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, we finally come across scientific evidence that proves that men have an advantage over women in sport. Amazing. Yeah.
So this was.
I'm glad, but there's still a question, I suppose, about the the main caliphs of the world. But I mean, this Olympic, like the new IOC head chick, is saying that she's going to listen to both what Donald Trump has to say, because he's the president of the next host country, and she's also going to listen to the international sporting federations. Now, if you remember back to the main caliph saga, it was the IBA that had done the original sex testing on her. That's the International Boxing Association, which is like an association.
I actually don't know the reference. Who's the person you're talking about?
Imane Khalif was, I think, the Algerian boxer.
Oh yeah, the one with the cornrows.
Yeah, and she beat the shit out of that Italian chick and won gold.
Well, didn't she have like some weird? It was more than just transgenderism. She had like an actual medical condition of some kind.
Well, yeah, she's intersex. So,
okay.
So that's why I would say she. I'd give her the benefit of the doubt and say she, because I believe that Imane Khalif was raised a woman, but she has the physique of a man, and she has XY chromosomes, so she has an advantage. Now, is that fair on her? I don't know, questionable, but it's certainly not fair on the other athletes, is it?
Yeah, well, I know that it's the best thing for the Olympics. There was part of the show that maybe I would have looked forward to otherwise, because it's going to be in LA. It's going to be a U.S. Olympics in the summer of 2028, and you'll still have Trump as president, and there maybe could have been a whole conflict, but I suppose integrity in the sporting competition is the most important thing.
And like Alex Stein always pointed out, it's a hell of a bet. Just chuck your money on the trans people.
I assume the odds makers would account for that. I don't know how it would be pretty heavily. Yeah, one of them would be pretty heavily favored. But I also want to ask you about another thing you guys were talking about recently, which is genociding the fatties. Apparently, there is a new talking point that Ozempic and other weight loss drugs are some sort of covert genocide operation against people of size.
Yeah, it's the fatty genocide. That's it. Yeah. So plus size models are losing work. It's just not the in thing anymore, because, like 3-4 years ago, we were all sort of like, oh, wow, look at this beautiful fatty. And I think everyone was
supposedly,
just being inclusive. Yeah. But now, there's none of them left because everyone's on Ozempic. So, yeah.
You ever have that experience where some celebrity you haven't seen for a while, they've disappeared, they've been at least you haven't seen them in public for a certain amount of time. You remember them being overweight or maybe massively fat, and then they show up And my wife and I call it zemping out. They've zemped out. Look, that guy's zemped out, and they're on. Which is funny because there's
it happens a lot. Yeah.
One of the drugs is called Zempbound. It's not Ozempic. It's Zempbound. But every time a commercial comes on, I like to call it Zemp out. There's another ad for Zemp out because it sounds like that. It's Zempbound. But yeah, it's crazy when someone does that. And the thing about the Ozempic weight loss, like it seems like one of those cheat codes, you know, anytime you have a easy solution, I'm sure it probably is beneficial to lose weight, but cheat codes have consequences. Yeah.
And I've seen some coverage about potential long-term effects. Now, how accurate, you know, that coverage is, I'm not sure, but I've seen all sorts of things. I think there was one to do with blindness, and there was one to do with gut health and things like that. But I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's like anything, you know, probably good in moderation. It's probably a good kickstart. Like if you're 500 pounds and can't move or something like that, then it's probably a good kickstart. It's originally a diabetic drug, I think. Like it's to treat diabetics and stop them from eating too much shit.
You can still tell though, that is to when you see a Zemp out, you know it not just because the person used to be fat. And what I mean by that is,
they got no tone. They got no
right.
tone.
It's like you've lost weight, but your body has no muscle on it, so it ends up looking weird. There's like a certain look to it that I can't describe, but I know it when I see it. And Zemp outs aren't fooling anybody.
And the full on ones, like I think there's something to do with like the eye, like under your eyes and stuff get a bit droopy, and you know, probably your neck and things like that. It looks a little bit like a smack addict if it's too hard.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It's like it is. You can tell when someone is on drugs beyond just like the meth mouth, you know, the teeth or like the obvious indicators. There's like something about the physique, the skinniness of the physique that gives it away.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. I wonder if there's some relationship there. But on the topic of genocide, I found that to be, I know that's a word that's thrown around in a lot of contexts these days, but like, it's just a weird thing to say that you're committing genocide. Nobody's dying from it. In fact, they're probably living longer.
Yeah.
So it's
their life expectancy is growing. Yeah.
But it's such a weird thing that it's like you guys were talking about in your video. Like being fat is a part of your identity inherently, innately.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing that I think has developed in recent years. Like as though you were born fat or something like that.
Well, look, let's be honest. This is just bitter fat people who either can't afford Ozempic or can't take it or something. They're just bitter that there aren't other fatties. And it's like that thing where you know, chicks, they always take photos next to their fat friend because it makes them look skinnier. It's the same sort of effect kind of thing. There needs to be more fatties so these fatties don't look so fat. You know, that's what's happening here. And anything else is a genocide, because anything that I don't like is a genocide these days, Matt. You know how it goes.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, with what time we have left, how do you diagnose kind of our cultural state in this regard? Because it's a weird time in the United States where I think a lot of these the perverse prevailing wisdom of recent years about inclusivity and sensitivity and all the stuff that you guys were talking about, I think that stuff is dying or dead. And you guys were talking a little bit about that in your video.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think the woke thing is dying. Like, you know, just the stupid batshit insane woke thing is somewhat dying, but I think it's sort of morphing into something even more dangerous, and that's just pure socialism. It's just communism and socialism, you know. Look at the Mamdani, what's his name? Mamdani
in New York, and Seattle just elected one. Yeah, we got a lot of that going on here. And so even if the social delusion stuff is recovering, it seems like the economic delusions are stronger than ever, despite, you know, maybe the election of Trump or whatever counterpoints we may have. But yeah, that's discouraging. And there's something about, I don't know what it is about human nature that we have to learn lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
This is an ideology that has failed every time it's tried, despite the explanations otherwise. But we always have to think, no, we're the wise ones. We're the good ones. We're going to do it right this time. And we have to learn the lesson the hard way, not just with communistic ideology, but it seems like with everything, we can't, for whatever reason, we can't learn the lessons of the past unless we experience them ourselves.
Yeah, but it's never been tried properly, Matt.
Well, Seattle's going to nail it. I
wasn't aware that Seattle elected also they elected a communist mayor.
It just happened on Thursday. She won on Thursday, and she won after all the mail-in ballots were counted. Do you guys do that in Australia? You do mail-in voting?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So it took a week for the mail-in ballots to be counted, and she narrowly beat the incumbent Democrat, sort of like the Mamdani election against Cuomo, narrowly beating an established incumbent. And this lady's saying the same things. I was watching a video of her. I posted a video about it yesterday, but she was outside a grocery store in August that's closing due to crime and high regulation from the state. And she's now saying we won't allow grocery stores to close at will. So
I did see that. I think I saw Tim Pool talking about that. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? I think that's called slavery. You're not going to allow them to close. What?
Anytime you think you own someone's labor, and fundamentally when you're saying someone else's labor is a human right, which is what they believe, it always ends in gunpoint like that. You have to force people to do the work for you. But Seattle's going to learn it the hard way too, I guess. And the funny thing about this, it's almost exactly like Mamdani, because she has no experience. She's relatively young. She's 43 years old. She has a daughter and a husband, but she's still collecting an undisclosed amount of money from her New York professor parents to support her ability to live in Seattle. So she's not even financially independent. This is a woman who's never built anything, isn't financially independent, but is going to somehow tell all the producers in her city how things actually work. Yeah. Good luck.
I mean, that's the same as Bernie Sanders, isn't it? I mean, he'd never had a job in his life, and he's a senator now, and he's always talking about
government forever. That's pretty much all he's ever been.
Yeah.
Since long he was in politics like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them since before we were born. They've been there forever, and they call themselves public servants. As though they serve, they serve us.
Yeah,
they don't take our money.
I love how Bernie Sanders stopped bitching about the millionaires as soon as he published his book and made a couple of mil. That was priceless.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, what can these mayors actually do though? I mean, they're spruiking this socialism shit. I mean, aren't they in charge of the bins and mowing the nature strip?
It depends on state law. Yeah. So my understanding in New York is that the state really has control of whatever Mamdani would want to do in terms of taxation, in terms of a lot of rent policy, because he wants to do rent control and things like that. So my understanding in New York is his hands are pretty tied. It could be the case in Washington too. I don't know exactly what Washington state law says about, what city mayors in Seattle or elsewhere can do, but maybe even more so than New York, Washington state is dominated at the state level by a bunch of radical progressives too, or maybe even open socialists in the way she describes. So I don't think that she's going to be short on allies in the state legislature there.
Yeah.
In New York, there's a lot of more conservative-minded people upstate, out of New York City, so maybe they can get some control on that. But it is a weird thing where like you look at the New York City election, and it's laughable in retrospect because Mamdani was probably always going to win given the enthusiasm for that direction. But what are we really doing in like praying and hoping, please, Andrew Cuomo come in and save that city?
I know.
Like,
he was the COVID guy, wasn't he? Was he the governor or the mayor at the time?
He was the governor of New York State. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I know. I thought the same thing. Wow. Yeah. People are like praying. Yeah. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. So
look, the New York thing. New York's kind of a shame because I mean I've never been there, but New York seems like a cool place. Washington, I'm like, okay, good riddance. I hope it really goes well. But New York is a shame.
It sucks. I mean, I like I said, I live out in the woods on purpose. I live in the mountains, and I think that's actually the best of what America has to offer is some of its natural landscapes. But I don't want the cities in my country to suck. And I would like to take my sons maybe to see the sites in New York City someday. Maybe we want to go see the Space Needle and see Seattle and see the ocean. It's not just that these places are silly in their philosophy. It's that they're unsafe for families. Like my in-laws live in San Francisco, and we hardly go outside when we're there except to go to the grocery store. And there was a time a year or two ago. It was actually about 2 years ago. Yeah. Because my wife was pregnant with our second child, and we're just going to the Safeway grocery store to pick up some food. And outside of the store is a dude tripping on God knows what. Yeah. Yelling at people, just like screaming nonsense at people. And I, of course, have no protection because I can't carry in California. And this dude's big. Okay. This was like a George Floyd looking guy. Okay. He's probably like 6'2" or 6'3", probably 225, something like that. Wow. And he's just screaming nonsense. And I'm thinking like, okay, if this guy decides that my wife and I are the enemy for whatever reason in his drugged out mind, I'm screwed. Like, I don't have the means to protect us, but even if I did, I become the criminal. Like, I just have to try to, and my wife can't run, you know, she's like 7 months pregnant at the time, 6 months pregnant, something like that. Yeah. So it's like it's not even a philosophy thing. It's a public safety thing. If you're an American family, to stay away from these iconic American cities.
Yeah. Have you got acreage in Montana?
I don't. No, I have a humble third of an acre, but I make good use of it.
Yeah, fair enough. I want to get acreage. I want to, that'll be my next house. I want to get a few acres. That'd be sick. Well,
top of the hour, man. I got to let you go, but I want to make sure people know about your YouTube channel and your X account. Those are linked in the description. Definitely check out Bering's videos. They are excellent and hilarious. Bering, is there anything else you'd like to promote before you're out of here?
No, that's all, man. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
All right. There we go. Find Bering's links in the description. I'm going to go get Skulldugger. We'll get right back into your Super Chats.
Stand back and stand by. Stand back and stand by.
Whoops, I forgot to take Bering out of here. Let me fix that. Sorry about that. Anyway, thanks again to my guest, Bering. Find his links in the description. Appreciate his giving us time, as always. Anyway, Skulldugger, you have any thoughts on what Bering had to say?
No, it's always great to hear from him, though. I love his attitude.
Yeah, I love that delightful Aussie accent, you know. It's probably my favorite, probably my favorite foreign accent of them all. I just can't imitate it. But we got to catch up on Super Chat here. So let me get that pulled up. We'll get right into it. Let's see. Over on YouTube, Injured Guardian, as much as I enjoy a couple of his shows, Taylor Sheridan's freezer, basement, and hard drives all need to be randomly checked at least once a week. What did Taylor Sheridan do? Are you familiar with Taylor Sheridan, Mr. Skulldugger?
I am. I'm not familiar with any new controversies or anything, but
the Yellowstone creator guy, and I'm a fan of pretty much all the shows of his that I've seen. I just don't know why he needs freezer, basement, and hard drive check. What did he do? The most annoying thing about Taylor Sheridan to me is that he always has to find a way to show himself riding horses. It's like, we get it, dude. You know how to you're a horseman. Congratulations. We don't need that shoved into the story, but thank you. What did he do? You'll have to tell me, Injured Guardian. Sorry, I missed the story, I guess. Long Dong John, please say hi to Bering for me and make sure you're wearing your Kniga hat when you're doing the interview. I'm sorry I didn't deploy it, but I do, you know what? I'll put it on for a second. Although I have to be careful because when I lean this way, the K disappears. You get in trouble that way. Please, make sure you're wearing your Kniga hat while you're doing the interview. I'll catch it on replay. Have a great show and God bless. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your support for the show.
We love you. You're very special.
Tortuga says, when my young son was scared by all the things, or when he was young, he was scared by all the things. Now he's going to university in April, and I'm the one that's scared by all the things. Yeah, I have not reached that stage of fatherhood yet where your kids leave the nest. You know, I have no idea what that's like. I can only imagine because I'm in like protector dad mode, and in the eyes of my sons, I hope I'm like superhero dad in terms of my ability to protect them from the forces of evil and all that. But one day they grow up and they leave, and you hope that you did a good job making the world navigable for them. And I'm sure you have, Tortuga, but that's a totally different experience and phase of fatherhood I have no concept of. So Godspeed to you in that, and all the best to your family. And I hope that your fear is, I hope it's not fear. I hope that you get pride and enjoyment out of this. It's a job well done, and it's a mark of success when your son goes off and makes something of himself. So here's hoping for that. Jay Case, the Legend PC. What's up? See you next Tuesday. I assume he's referring to the Aussie with the see you next Tuesday. I know that's a choice word down there. Say hello to Sugar Tittles. Give Me Better Days. Great song. If people don't know, Bering is an incredible musician and does a lot of his own music on the channel. And longtime listeners of this show know that the outro I've used on Sundays for pretty much the entire duration of the stream is by Bering and his wife Sugar Tits. And awesome. They both have great voices. That's a cover, the song that I use, but their original music is really incredible too. Same with Chris Gard. I joke that this show there's like a, and producer Tim, there's like a, this show is all Australian influence. You know, the Aussies secretly have control of this particular piece of media. But yeah, like, I guess for all I know like 3 Australian people, and they're all incredible musicians. I don't know if Tim makes music, but he probably does, and it's probably awesome given the track record of the Aussies. I know. My good buddy is a frontman for Decrepit Birth, more metal than punk. I enjoy both genres. Lots of homegrown punk in Santa Cruz, too. I don't know about the Santa Cruz punk scene. Only thing I know about Santa Cruz, and Skulldugger, I'm sure you know this, is the Banana Slugs of UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And is there anybody higher than the students of UC Santa Cruz, or just the city of Santa Cruz?
The city in general.
The guy from Creed played a show there and said, "Can you take me higher?" And no, it's impossible. And nobody is. There is no higher height than the city of Santa Cruz. Speaking of producer Tim, the frustrating thing is watching people not understand when nations are capitalist, but many have socialist type policies. What's even worse is said socialist policies they praise are often funded by capitalism that they decry. Bloody idiots. Well, yeah, that is the kind of the fundamental problem here is when you ask how these things will be paid for, you'll oftentimes just get generic scoffing as though that's a ridiculous question to ask. But when you do get down to the practical issue of it, they'll say things like, well, the billionaires are going to pay their fair share, as though they don't already.
Right.
But okay, but that premise, the billionaires are going to pay their fair share, presumes that people are able to build fantastic wealth to support this social safety net, like Tim is saying. When you have removed the ability or the incentives to become fabulously rich, you will have less of that. When you have less of that, you have less ability to pay for the supposed human rights as you're declaring them. But it's probably a fool's errand to try to find the logical consistency or the foresight in this calculation from people who, again, insist on learning the lesson the hard way. Skulldugger, well, you're surrounded by a lot of them there.
Well, here in the United States, whenever we say, whenever we have these socialists say, oh, the government should provide this, the government should provide, that means that billionaires are providing whatever it is you're asking for.
Yes, yeah, because the government is not creating the wealth. You're right.
Right. The government does not make or create anything. It takes from one hand and spreads with the other, and so you are talking about being provided these things by billionaires. So the same people who talk about we should have policies that prevent people from ever becoming a billionaire, which is something that Mamdani has actually said.
Yeah.
It's like, well, all of your policies require billionaires. So
yeah, that's why you take photos with Alex Soros to celebrate. It is crazy, and this is why I really want to get back to fundamental concepts. I was talking about this Seattle mayor that Bering and I were talking about, but when I was posting the video on it, it's just like, we got to think about who owns your labor, okay? Like, fundamentally, do you own your labor, or does someone else or society at large own your labor? Because if you get that question wrong, there are disastrous consequences. But like I said, I like to lurk left-wing comment sections and see what they're saying. And I can't believe the amount of times I see some comment to the effect of, the government's only job is to take care of its people. Now, I could interpret that to mean by securing their rights in the Declaration of Independence style, but that's not what they mean. They mean giving them stuff in the way that you're describing. Not only do they view that as a government role, they view it as the only legitimate government role, which is astoundingly wrong, contrary to our founding principle, but just it's wrong in practical ability. The government can't do that. Sorry, you're going to have to make prosperity for yourself. All the government can do is to secure your rights to do that. And they can't even do that perfectly. Like they can kind of do that, or at least if their resources are devoted to that, you can do somewhat of a decent job in curbing the crime and the other threats to your ability to build prosperity for yourself. But the government cannot make you prosperous. That is not a thing they have the ability to do. Sorry, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, over on Rumble, newbie. Newbie of Death, I really appreciate your support for my show. You are remarkably consistent, and thank you for keeping the operation running and making me press the button. If you read this,
you are gay, LMAO.
Thank you. Yakko. Apparently, there's been some rioting outside the presidential residence in Mexico. I saw somebody streaming about that yesterday, I think, but I didn't look into why. Oddly enough, when people can't swarm our border, they seem to want change in their own country all of a sudden. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about the connections there. That is to say, if our border's closed, maybe people are staying in Mexico and are rioting about government policy there. I don't know anything about Mexican riots, though. Do you, Skulldugger?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I just saw they were happening. I saw someone live streaming some I don't know, like it looked like a public square of some kind, maybe in Mexico City or wherever, major city in Mexico, but there was just some kind of public camera on this square and people were just doing their protest thing, but I have no idea what they're actually protesting. Anyway, we're good there. Thank you guys on Odyssey as well, and we'll pause there. We'll come back to your chats at the end of the show.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
And I think Raja Mohan says that's enough of that hat. So I better put it away. And we got to get back into the Epstein stuff. Now, we didn't have time to get to Stacey Plaskett before Bering joined. So I want to get into that story because I kind of buried the lead here. And that is to say, if there is anything scandalous in the latest release of Epstein documents, Epstein files, it would be this. And again, as mentioned at the top of the show, it's that a sitting member of Congress or a delegate to Congress has not just a close or had not just a close relationship, including a financial relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but was actively texting Jeffrey Epstein for instructions or advice during a House hearing designed to get Donald Trump. Okay, that's what happened here. So Stacey Plaskett is the non-voting delegate to Congress for the Virgin Islands. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the Virgin Islands are where Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Epstein Island, that's where it was. So Jeffrey Epstein has had a relationship with a lot of members of government there. And it appears he had a significant one with Stacey Plaskett too, who was in Congress at the time, as in like toward the end of Epstein's life, allegedly. And all the way until for about like a decade prior, or the better part of a decade. She was in Congress starting in 2014, and then what happens with Epstein is 2019, so 5 years, whatever. Anyway, part of this release of documents, again, we got all these emails that Democrats are emphasizing with Epstein commentary on Trump, other things that have come out, some 20,000 pages, a giant pile of documents that were recovered from Epstein's estate through the House Oversight Committee investigation into Epstein. And we learn from these releases, there's some text message records. And Stacey Plaskett, the delegate from the Virgin Islands, was texting Jeffrey Epstein during a House committee hearing talking to Michael Cohen in early 2019. Now, you remember Michael Cohen, he's Trump's former lawyer, former fixer, he was often called, became a fixation for Democrats later on because he spilled the beans. He would tell everything there is to tell about Trump, and he became something of an anti-Trump figure in that regard. He's in jail now for, I forget what he did. Do you remember, Skulldugger? Or did he get out now? Is he still in jail or did he get out? I can't remember. He went to jail for a time.
Yeah, no, I think he might be out by now.
Well, in 2019, this is January, February 2019. I forget the exact date. February 27th, this happens. You have Michael Cohen talking to a House committee to expose Trump corruption. And according to the timestamps on these texts, you have Democrat delegate Stacey Plaskett texting Epstein because she's actively participating in the hearing. She's about to question Cohen. And Jeffrey Epstein is texting her, telling her what to say because he knows things about Trump. So here's some video with those text messages dubbed over by the Washington Post.
This was when Barack Obama,
I'll read some of these texts. Okay. Epstein texts Plaskett, "Are you chewing?"
Struggling neighborhood in Chicago.
Not anymore, she says. Cohen's talking, giving his testimony. You're going to have members of Congress questioning him soon.
Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
Epstein texts her back. Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of the secrets. Now, what's Rona? That's not coming coronavirus. She responds, Rona, what's that? It's one of Trump's assistants named Rona.
Yes.
And then she says, hurry up quick, I'm next. Is that an acronym? What's Rona? She's texting Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein responds, that's his assistant. Okay. Then sure enough, she asks a question about Rona.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his.
And then Epstein texts her good work about the question that she's asking.
That went on.
Okay. So just to explain what we just watched, a Democrat member of Congress is questioning former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen to expose Trump corruption. That's the whole idea here. But her questions are being secretly directed by Jeffrey Epstein.
That's disgusting.
So Democrats are working with Jeffrey Epstein at this time to get Trump, or at least one Democrat is. But also Trump is very bad for his prior relationship with Epstein. Keep in mind, again, this is February 2019. Okay, this is right before Epstein's arrest and alleged suicide. This is not a long time ago where maybe you have confusion about who Jeffrey Epstein is. He was already convicted on state prostitution charges. His arrest on on sex trafficking that led to his imprisonment was a few months away. there was no mystery about his character here. But in response to what was just revealed, Stacey Plaskett and her office released a statement. Now, they're not denying what we just watched because, of course, it's 100% true. She says, or her office says, during the hearing, Congresswoman Plaskett received texts from staff, constituents, and the public at large offering advice, also Jeffrey Epstein, and support in some cases, and in some cases, partisan vitriol too, including from Epstein. Okay, so I get texts from lots and lots of people, but also Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, okay. And then she said, as a former prosecutor, Plaskett welcomes information that helps her get at the truth and took on the GOP that was trying to bury the truth. The Congresswoman has previously made clear her long record combating sexual assault and human trafficking, her disgust over Epstein's deviant behavior, and her support for his victims. Well, number one, it wasn't just texts she was receiving from all sorts of people. Even if Epstein had a very distant relationship with her and had her phone number for whatever reason, texted her at the time, she's responding in the hearing, quick, hurry, I need information from you, Jeffrey Epstein, to craft my questions accordingly. This is not just, hey, look, I received texts from a lot of people as a member of Congress. Everyone's asking for my time. No, you wanted that time very specifically. And two, if you oppose sexual crime, it's very weird to be so eager for cooperation and help from a sexual criminal, Jeffrey Epstein, and not just what he was about to be arrested for, but what he was previously convicted for. It takes a lot for Democrats to shock me, Skulldugger, but yeah. I am actually kind of shocked by this revelation. I did not. Actively texting Epstein for direction during a congressional hearing that's a new one to me. What do you think about this?
I mean, you have to just come out and own this thing. Trying to distance yourself from this, it makes it feel like even worse. There has to be a short list of people who you would take text messages from while you are sitting in a hearing that you are going to be speaking and participating and asking questions, especially when you are next. You are the next one up. If you are even looking at your phone at all and exchanging text messages with somebody, it would have to be somebody that you consider to be important. So, I mean, this tells us that she had a close relationship with Epstein, not one that is just kind of, you can poo-poo away. Oh, I text with everybody.
And what a procrastinator too. You know, like, you don't respect the American people enough to get this done the night before. It's like you're turning in your homework at the last second. Yeah. Come on. You could have been much more thoughtful about this, but I guess I can't believe that one would even participate in this knowing it's awful for its own sake. Of course, who are you cooperating with here? But I guess the audacity of thinking we have so much power and we're never held accountable that I will do this and I'm not even afraid of getting caught. No, I can't believe the brazenness, the boldness. But you're right that she has a close relationship with Epstein, and it's actually even worse than just like maybe they were friends or she valued his opinion for whatever reason. This is reporting in Business Insider from 2023. And Plaskett had a very involved financial relationship with Jeffrey Epstein as well. As a member of Congress or a non-voting delegate, she didn't have a lot of contested elections in the Virgin Islands, is my understanding, but she still, as a member of the party, has an obligation to raise money for the Democratic Party. And so in the same way she's lazy about writing her questions for Michael Cohen ahead of time, she's apparently also lazy about fundraising. So when the Democrat Party was on her about raising a target of, I think, $250,000 for the party, she said, well, why don't I just call up my rich friend Jeffrey? And this story details how she went directly to Jeffrey Epstein and said, hey, my friends at the DNC need some money. Will you help out? Epstein agreed to give her the full $30,000. This is 2018, around the time of the questions there. Full $30,000, the legal limit that Plaskett had asked him to contribute to the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee. Now, the party ended up rejecting the donation, presumably for the reasons you would expect. We don't want money from that guy. But it's more than that. Epstein also gave the maximum amounts to her campaigns in the prior cycles, 2016. This is before 2018. He did in 2014 as well, when she entered Congress. So now Epstein had a lot of relationships, as you would expect. He goes to the Virgin Islands, this U.S. territory. He owns a couple islands there, I think. And he has cozy relationships with the politicians there, presumably for exactly this sort of relationship where he helps them out financially or otherwise, and they look the other way on some of the things that may be going on or may have gone on at Epstein Island. Likewise, speaking of brazenness, audacity, whatever term you want to use, you know that all political donations are public. Maybe they had ways of covering it up. I don't know. Or maybe I thought there was something in here about Epstein doing it anonymously. Maybe they were trying to do it that way. Oh, shut up, Windows. Sorry, I can't turn off my Windows notifications for on this computer. I turned off all the system noises and they still don't go away, but that's Windows for you. Should be happy the computer's running at all, I guess. The duct tape rolls on. But I don't know if there was an effort to conceal his donations or not, but you're going to go to Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 and say, hey, bro, can you help out my friends at the party with 30 grand? You have no worry about the repercussions of that? Kind of insane.
Yeah.
But, since Democrats are so opposed to Epstein corruption and all of Epstein's sex crimes, I assume they're going to move immediately and work with Republicans to expel Stacey Plaskett from Congress.
Sure. I doubt it.
Just an update on Michael Cohen. Information coming in from producer Tim.
Oh yeah,
he was sentenced for the campaign finance violations regarding the Stormy Daniels payments, and he was released in 2021 after.
Oh, so it's been a little while.
Yeah, so he was only in for like 2.5 years.
Well, yeah. Speaking of members who need to be expelled, because I'm sorry, if we're going to have the standard that Jeffrey Epstein Association is the worst thing ever, which it is, by the way, I'm not excusing that, but this is so far beyond anything that's accused of Trump. You're taking Epstein directions in an official congressional proceeding and soliciting $30,000 donations from the guy. Get out, go away, get out of Congress. You have to.
This is what we call a real scandal. This is what real scandals look like. Is this one right here? There
is no anti-Epstein standard that you can maintain that does not implicate Stacey Plaskett at this point. But you know who else needs to be kicked out of Congress? I saw an update. I had it in the show plan, but just for time, I had to remove it. But you know, LaMonica MacGyver, I forget which state she's from, but congresswoman who was accused of body slamming federal agents outside of that ICE detention center earlier this year. Now, I never saw the body slamming, but she did physically aggress upon federal agents. She shoved them. She got physically. She was physically involved with them. She committed like some sort of low level assault, battery, whatever you want to call it. Sure. And she is facing charges for that. And she's trying to have those dismissed. And the update this week is that the judge refused to dismiss them. So that prosecution will go forward. But she has to be expelled as well. They got rid of George Santos for when his charges were brought. It was before he was convicted. I don't like George Santos. I think he sucks. I don't want him in Congress. I also don't want a Democrat filling his seat. But again, the standard was like criminal charge means expulsion. This lady has a credible criminal charge against her, not just credible insofar as the judge wouldn't dismiss it, but it's on video. We can all watch her attacking federal agents and being an insane person. And she's still in Congress. We're not talking about expelling her at all. So we got two that we need to kick out, but it's not going to happen. Anyway, I mentioned at the top of the show the Thomas Crooks, what Tucker Carlson is calling a Thomas Crooks cover-up. And that is because, at the FBI, that's because Tucker Carlson released some previously unseen information on Thomas Crooks, who was, of course, the attempted Trump assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania in July 2024. Now, officially, we know almost nothing about Thomas Crooks. We have been told that he had minimal online presence, motivations unknown. His body was quickly cremated. Nothing more to see here. I don't even know if there was officially an ongoing FBI investigation anymore. I don't know if they closed the case or what, but I don't know. I haven't heard any official Thomas Crooks update anytime in the last year that I can recall, Skulldugger, unless you can refresh my memory.
No, it's There's even less information than the Las Vegas shooter on this guy.
They are both hanging out together at Epstein Island right now, both of those guys, for sure. But Tucker has a source who he didn't name the source, but according to his methods that he described, he got this information from somebody who's been digging into Thomas Crooks a little bit more using what Tucker described as private investigator methods. And these private investigator methods have revealed a lot about Thomas Crooks' online presence, specifically hundreds of comments on YouTube videos. But there's a lot more to that. But the YouTube videos are the comments on YouTube videos are interesting insofar as they demonstrated something of a flip in Thomas Crooks' perspective. So up until 2020, he actually had a lot of pro-Trump or immigration critical comments, generally what would be viewed as right-wing comments. And then around 2020, he shifted pretty radically. He became anti-Trump, pro-lockdown policy, and whatever the perspective may have been politically, the other theme of these comments, and again, there are a few hundred of them, was calling for assassinations, political violence. A lot of unhinged comments about how people need to be killed or they need to die, that sort of stuff. And so Tucker's team collected a bunch of those comments, some of which exist in Internet Archives, even though the account has been banned from YouTube. Also, a lot of different online accounts he had, PayPal, Venmo. He had email accounts on foreign email services. The accounts were discovered using Thomas Crooks' phone number, which was part of the FBI investigation. Somehow or another, the phone number was recovered, and they used the phone number to identify these accounts. And there was also, I don't know how they got it, but there was access to a Google Drive owned by Thomas Crooks. And in that Google Drive, there's video of him dry firing a handgun, doing some sort of firearms training, or, it was all in his room at his house. It wasn't even at a range or anything, but he's handling a handgun, looks like a Glock or something in this video. But the craziest thing about what Tucker put out to me, Skulldugger, and this is what I was mentioning earlier, is this mystery character called Willie Tepes, because as I mentioned, Thomas Crooks is posting all kinds of deranged YouTube comments about killing people, assassinating people, people need to die. And then later in his commenting career, sometime, I don't know, a few years ago, Willie Tepes, an account named Willie Tepes, starts replying to Thomas Crooks and encouraging Thomas Crooks. Hey, bro, you love political assassinations? No way. Me too. Why don't you give me your phone number? We can talk about it.
Smells like a Fed.
Could be. But the weird thing is not just the entry of Willie Tepes. It's that Thomas Crooks and his previously active YouTube account in commenting kind of goes dark after Willie Tepes joins him, just disappears, stops commenting. So here is the Tucker segment talking about Willie Tepes.
These remarks were especially notable because they came at the final phase of Crooks's YouTube commenting. At that point, a new character emerged into the conversation, a user named Willie Tepes, who started pressuring Crooks to commit violence. For example, quote, "If a gun and a badge is all that is needed, then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. There is no way we can avoid a war at this point, so you better just get used to the idea. We have nothing to lose and everything to win. And the alternative, a global police state, is unacceptable. Nothing in life is simple, but that is no argument against doing it." So who is this Willie Tepes? Unfortunately, we don't know. The FBI hasn't made any mention of him in public, although they certainly know he exists. Just days after the shooting, somebody screenshotted Tepes' YouTube account page, despite the fact he had very few followers. To the extent that he can be traced online now, you can find his username being used on a foreign Antifa website. Those sites link him to the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated a terrorist group by the U.S. State Department. That's all we know. We do know, however, that Crooks' online footprint abruptly ends after his encounter with this mysterious figure, Willie Tepes.
Okay. We don't know who Willie Tepes is. That's never explained. The FBI is not saying if they know about Willie Tepes, if they know who Willie Tepes is. Willie Tepes is, in a story that is nothing but mystery, this revelation is particularly mysterious to me, Skulldugger. You think Federal agent, or I mean, that's the go-to, I guess. But who could this person be?
My only question about that is, if it was a Fed, then why would they have left this one, this one chain of messaging? Like, if this was a Fed and they've scrubbed his account, why would they have left the Willie Tepes account? So
sloppiness. I don't know.
Could be.
That's the thing about Feds. They are both supremely competent and woefully incompetent at the same time. They can do all things and nothing. That's in their nature.
But I will say the FBI knows exactly who Willie Tepes is. I wouldn't doubt that they, or at least they probably have a pretty good idea who it is.
Okay, well,
there's no way they'd have no idea.
After they're done releasing all the Epstein files, they need to release the Willie files.
The Tepes files.
Yeah. Now, the FBI has responded to this Tucker story. Director Kash Patel put out a statement right away. Later, the video came out on Friday. Patel had a statement out within a few hours after the publication of the video. And in response to the video, Patel's statement, and I'll paraphrase a little bit here, but he says, the Crooks case overview, our investigation, it was over 480 FBI employees that were involved, 1,000 interviews, 2,000 public tips, data extracted from 13 seized digital devices, nearly 500,000 digital files, hundreds of hours of video footage, financial activity from 10 different accounts, data associated with 25 social media or online forum accounts. The investigation, again conducted by 480 FBI employees, revealed Crooks had limited online and in-person interactions, planned and conducted the attack alone, and did not leak or share his intent to engage in the attack with anyone.
I doubt it.
Now, that sounds like a lot of information, though, it's a lot of information with none showed publicly. And the statement doesn't really explain why none has been shown publicly. And the FBI, it wasn't just Kash Patel. The FBI, did you see that they actually created an account just to respond to this? They made a
response account. Yeah.
They responded rapidly. They made a brand new one. And it responded to Tucker's claims. So Tucker actually teased the story on Thursday, and he was asking why the FBI said Thomas Crooks had no online presence, and the FBI rapid response account, again, brand new, created this week in response to this story. The account said the FBI has never said he had no online presence. The implication being just a limited one.
Well, there's a very important word in there. The operative word is this. This FBI has never said Thomas Crooks had no online footprint ever.
I didn't catch that, right.
There's a keen suggestion there that the previous one may have said that, but we never said it.
But even if that's what they mean, and I think you're right, this is different from in that it creates a distinction, and we all know what that distinction is, Biden versus Trump. Okay, I could believe that. I definitely could believe there were cover-up efforts under the prior FBI leadership. I saw how that DOJ operated. That makes perfect sense. However, this FBI has never said that. What has this FBI said about Thomas Crooks?
So the previous FBI said it. We've just never corrected the record.
That's a problem. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So you had knowledge otherwise and didn't release anything. Right. So the big questions here about what the FBI is doing. Did the FBI know about Thomas Crooks' call for assassination, political violence, killing, death, all this stuff he was doing in the years prior to the attempted assassination? Did they know about that stuff? And they should have, because the FBI prides itself on scraping all of social media to find these kinds of threats. And they advertise their programs and their staff that they have to this effect. Did they know and they just acted like this guy is unknown and nobody's ever heard of him and he had no or little online presence? Or either they knew and they didn't say anything and it's a cover-up, or they didn't know, in which case they are totally incompetent and their programs to monitor social media are missing what's got to be one of the more obvious cases in the country. Like, how many people do you think are out there posting dozens of comments about killing politicians straight up? They're not even trying to, and the comments that Crooks had were to that effect. They're like, Ilhan Omar was one of them. Ilhan Omar needs to be executed now. That kind of stuff. It's not exactly what he said, but to that effect. He didn't do it once. He did it a whole bunch of times. And there are all kinds of cases where somebody even generally theoretically referencing political violence gets a knock-knock. Remember that guy in Utah who made some posts about Biden? He was like a disabled old man who made a post or two about Biden, something about Biden's coming to Utah today. There might be somebody that gets him, or it was something generic like that. I forget what he said. It was a post that was like a little too far for sure, but the FBI actually raided him and shot him dead after he supposedly pointed a gun at them. You remember that guy?
Yeah.
I think that was over one comment.
Yeah.
It's not like he had dozens over years. So what's your bet on this? Do you think it's incompetence or cover up if you had to pick one?
Gosh. I mean, it could be a little of both.
I don't see how it could be both. You either know or you don't.
Well, if it is a cover up, then there is some incompetence in the cover up, and the fact that we even know the Willie Tepes name.
Okay.
So
I see. I guess there are incompetent cover ups. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah.
They've not been thorough in their cover up if it is a cover up. But I mean, they had to have known about this guy prior to the assassination attempt. Like with all this traceable stuff after the fact, like we know that the feds monitor social media posts for these specific types of red flags. So to have missed this many from this person, and then
they scraped all my Discord in 2024, but they didn't get Thomas Crooks.
Exactly.
I didn't threaten a damn person.
They had to have had knowledge of this guy before the assassination attempt. There's just no way they haven't, and that has to be the onus for why the previous FBI would have said that. So the previous FBI did put out the communication that he had no online presence, and that's what we've all been operating on until now, when Tucker's pushing this story and the FBI goes, no, he had an online presence. He had this. Like, well, this is the first any of us are hearing about any of this stuff.
Yeah. And for Kash Patel, you're trying to tell me the volume of the investigation here. Okay, great. What can you tell us about this massive quantity of evidence? Because previously, as you were saying, we were led to believe that there was little to no evidence of any kind. Now you're telling me there's a massive pile of it. And I understand that you can't just throw everything out there when there's an active investigation and prosecution, but I don't understand why we wouldn't be able to see effectively everything in this case, because Thomas Crooks is dead. He's not going to be charged with anything. And there are no accomplices, according to you, to investigate. I would understand if there were a bunch of people involved with him and you have to protect the integrity of the investigation while they are investigated and potentially prosecuted. But you're telling me he had no associations. He had no help. So who are you investigating at this point? The answer, according to you, is nobody. So let's see what you got.
Well, the problem here is likely that all of this information ended up on Pam Bondi's desk.
Where everything goes to die. Yeah. Well, this truckload, they couldn't deliver this truckload because it was right behind the Epstein Files truck and it was blocking the dock there. And I want to know definitely who Willie Tepes is, but that's another thing that we'll never get an answer to, I assume. But that good on Tucker's team for getting that information. Whatever you think of his interpretation of it, even if some people are critical or saying he's jumping to conclusions, it's information about Thomas Crooks that we have not seen yet, a lot of it.
Yeah.
I got to give credit to anybody who provides that information to the public. So well done to his team and whoever this source of his is, because I don't think anybody has put out more information on Thomas Crooks than he has at this point. So good job.
And I gotta warn Kash Patel against going up against Tucker. He is a smoother operator than you are. So if you want to try to have this out publicly,
I think
my money's on Tucker winning that one.
I would love to see the two talk on his show about this, and I actually think Tucker would be pretty. I think he'd be pretty fair about it. Like, hey, here's how it looks from the outside. Can you tell me why that's wrong? I'd like to hear that. I'll listen to what Kash Patel has to say, but man, given the handling of the Epstein stuff and now this Thomas Crooks stuff, it is tough to have any increased faith in the institution.
That is the frustrating thing here is that all these people came in saying that this is going to be the most transparent Department of Justice, the most transparent FBI. And it's like, well, you're starting to look a lot like all the other guys.
The institutions, the establishment always wins, I guess. If anything, the concept of the deep state appears to be vindicated. The deep state always wins, no matter who you vote for, would be the appearance. Very discouraging, but maybe the Thomas Crooks truckload is right behind the Epstein truckload. We're going to see it soon, although I doubt it. But I want to talk about John Fetterman, based Frankenstein. Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. He had a significant fall on Thursday. He somehow fell on his face and he was hospitalized for it. And he had 20 stitches in his face. Yesterday, he posted a photo. Here's the photo. Yesterday, he was released from the hospital. He posted a photo and based Frankenstein. He's got the stitches on his head like Frankenstein would. And the official explanation from Fetterman's office is that he had a ventricular fibrillation flare-up. Now, my understanding is medically that is some sort of heart rhythm issue that caused him to become lightheaded and fall, and somehow he hit his face. Now, I don't understand how you fall and you need 20 stitches in your face. Did he fall on a knife? Did he fall on a rake? How do you... I don't get it. So there's no further explanation than that, but it looks like he'd have to fall on something gnarly for that to happen. Maybe fell down the stairs and hit himself. I don't know.
Well, he is bigger, so he falls harder.
He falls far, and that's true. But what really happened here? Do you think maybe Willie Tepes did it?
Bingo.
He might have. The reason I asked that question, I'm not even saying I don't believe the story as told that he fell down. Like, John Fetterman's a guy with a lot of health issues. John Fetterman falling down and having another health episode and needing hospitalization is not very hard to believe, insofar as I saw him have a stroke and need hospitalization while running for Senate in 2022 and being, having all kinds of medical difficulties ever since. But I do think it was interesting that all of this happens with maybe noticeably coincidental timing, because earlier in the week, John Fetterman was on CNN talking to Dana Bash about how lots of leftists want him dead.
You said, quote, "I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left."
It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms, really what's kind of the harshest, what's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky, it's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names, some names I won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. They even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head, cheering it. They claim, "Oh, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life?" People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die. Literally cheering for a stroke.
I haven't seen these stroke GIFs. Have you?
No. I'm not on Blue Sky, so no, I have not.
Leftists can't meme except for John Fetterman stroke animations. They have those dialed in. But of course, John Fetterman has made a lot of enemies among progressives for a bunch of reasons. He just voted this week to reopen the government. He was a member of the Senate 8 that defected from Chuck Schumer, reopened the government. But he was one of the original 3 that was voting with Republicans to reopen the government the whole time. They don't like him for that. He's been calling out liberals for celebrating the Charlie Kirk assassination. They don't like him for that. He's been critical of the rise of socialism. He's been pro-Israel. He's at odds with the party, or at least the progressive establishment of the party, for some time. So do I have any evidence to say that someone from DNC HQ pushed him down the stairs? They took that lesbian woman who was the pipe bomber. They deployed her again and had her shove him down the stairs. Now, I don't have any evidence to that effect. So it probably is exactly what it looks like. But it is odd for John Fetterman to be on CNN saying, "Yeah, they tell me all the time, hope you die. Wish your doctor is incompetent, so he performs poorly and you pass away." and then he has a fairly serious event, an accident like this that causes him something of a serious physical injury. I don't know how close to death he was or not, but I don't know. Do you buy it? Is it just a Fetterman strokey brain incident that it's nothing more than that, or do you think there are any shenanigans?
I doubt the shenanigans. This guy has health issues, so he had another health issue. So,
well, once John Fetterman votes to release the Epstein files, then they will finish him off. They will make sure that he falls down the stairs and lands more squarely on the knife this time. I guarantee you that.
And then he'll be blamed on the Republicans.
Yeah, exactly. That will complete the quest. You're right. They will have some story about how it was all a Republican assassin.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit about food stamps and SNAP. Barry and I were talking about that a little bit. And of course, we've done plenty of government shutdown talk, and the 40-day long government shutdown is now over. But one benefit of the shutdown as it relates to food stamps, at least for me, is prior to this, I really had no idea how bloated the food stamp program actually is. I had no idea of certain facts, like food stamp recipients tend to be disproportionately obese. They tend to buy worse quality food. They make poorer consumer choices with the benefit. Food stamps are something like a quarter of the revenue for companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And of course, how much fraud there is in the program. These are things I just haven't looked critically at the food stamp program before all this. So that's one silver lining. That knowledge is a benefit. But another benefit is maybe we'll get some actual reform in the program. Now, I'm not actually optimistic this is going to happen because it seems like it's kind of unclear in practical terms, but I at least like that the discussion is happening. Trump's agriculture secretary, Brooke Rollins, when she took office, she says she contacted all the state offices. So food stamps or SNAP, it's federally funded, but it's administered financially by all the states. She contacted all those offices and asked for data about who's enrolled. And she got responses from most states, but it was pretty much all the red states. She didn't get responses from the blue states. But even with data from the red states, she says she identified, there was a lot of overlap with the voter rolls, Skulldugger. The same dead people who are voting, they're also on food stamps. She says in tens of thousands of cases. And there are also people who are duplicate food stamp recipients. Somehow they're signed up twice or multiple times, and they're apparently getting payouts, according to her. But what she says she wants to do is have the USDA require everyone who's on food stamps or SNAP now to re-enroll, to just fresh start the program, hopefully to clear the rolls of some of these fraudulent participants. Here is her commentary this week.
The very first thing I did was send letters to every single state in America and said, never before has the federal government asked for the data, but it is a new day. President Trump is the president. We know there's a lot of fraud. We need to help partner with you all to figure out how to make sure that this money and these benefits go to those who truly need it and not rife with fraud and corruption. 29 states, mostly the red states, responded with their data sets February, March, April. So the numbers that you're talking through, those are numbers that we have been collecting and analyzing since early summer, late spring. 5,000 dead people. That was just 1 month. The number is closer to 186,000 deceased men and women and children in this country are receiving a check. Now, that is what we're really going to start clamping down on. 500,000 are getting 2. But here's the really stunning thing. This is just data from those 29 mostly red states. Can you imagine when we get our hands on the blue state data, what we're going to find?
Oh, God. You can hear.
Oh, God.
Wait, that was not you, right? That was the host in the show.
That was not me. That was him.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the thing is, I'm sure in California, everybody you see around you, not only are they a food stamp recipient, but they're a multi-food stamp recipient under different names or something, and their dead grandma is also a food stamp recipient on their behalf.
And they're a tech millionaire at the same time.
And yeah, they're also they have a CDL and they're about to crash their truck into an innocent family, something to that effect.
I mean, you have to joke about this because otherwise, I mean, this is just terrible. I can't even. The numbers she was just throwing out there, just kind of casually. I mean, she casually went to 500,000 are receiving double benefits.
Yeah.
She's breezed past that. 500,000 people are receiving double payments.
Well, that's the thing. We know that food stamps, the spending on food stamps just ballooned under the Biden years. And some of that is explained by inflation that was rampant at the time. But I think it like tripled or something, like 2.5 times increase in that time. That's not just inflation. That's new people signing up or scams or something. I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of fraudulent applications to this effect. And given the oversight we've seen with CDLs and other things, what we just watched with CDLs in New York, or what we've seen in your state in California with CDLs, I'm sure the oversight at the food stamp application office is at best just as negligent. At worst, they facilitate the fraud in the same way we saw with the fingernails lady.
Yeah.
So when you're done at the DMV, head on down to the food stamps office and see if you can sign up on behalf of your dead buddy or something like that.
Yeah, I'll see how many times I can sign up.
Come in the next day dressed in a costume like that lady and see if you can get additional benefits. Now, how's this going to happen? She didn't explain how it would happen to say refresh the entire program. And if you want food stamps, you have to reapply and restart clean. Maybe that would require an act of Congress. I don't know. If it requires an act of Congress, it's not going to happen. Even if they made it the policy of the USDA, Trump administration policy that you have to do this, that's going to get challenged right away by all the interest groups involved in this, and it will be tied up in court for a long time. So the idea that you're going to do this tomorrow, I don't think that's going to happen. But I like the idea here. I like the spirit. I like the fact that people are looking a little bit more critically at this program, and hopefully we can get some of those reforms. But I don't know, Skulldugger. This may be something that is sitting right there on Pam Bondi's desk as well, and it might disappear forever. You optimistic that this can happen, or you think it's just talk?
I wonder if there's a way that it can be reformed in a way where the benefits expire after a year or two, and you have to renew.
I think some states require that. I thought I read that, but I don't know for sure. There might be reapplication requirements in some places.
If there is in some states over other states, and it would be really interesting to compare the data between the states that require renewal and those that automatically renew.
If my driver's license requires renewal, so should food stamps. Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, all right, I got some hoax hate for you. Are you ready?
I am ready. My first hoax hate.
Oh, yeah.
And now, the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice?
Michelle Obama is at it again. She is still on her book tour, and she is still blaming white people for fashion standards that she chooses to observe. Now, her book is called The Look, something like that. It's all about her fashion during her time as first lady. So that's why she's talking about fashion so much. But somehow fashion discussion just ends up being you damn white people and your standards set for us black people that we can't live up to. And she did this bit a few weeks ago. Last we heard from Michelle Obama doing this, she was doing an ABC interview. This was a few weeks ago. She was saying she had to straighten her hair all through the Obama White House tenure because white people expected it. And they expected perfection from the first black president. So she didn't dare challenge white people's expectations of perfection. And so she always straightened her hair. And this week, she's saying something to the same effect. She was with actress Tracee Ellis Ross, again, complaining about how unfair white beauty standards are to black people.
Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim. And we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
Okay. So
no problem. We don't. How about there? I don't know a single white person, nor have I ever known a single white person who has had this much of any opinion on black people's hair. It's not something we think about. We don't have these conversations. We don't have these standards for you. You have these standards for you.
Why is her hair still straight at this event?
Both of them.
Both of you. Yeah, that's right. The other woman is at least part black as well. So you were first lady for, first air quotes lady. We'll leave that point aside. But you were first lady for 8 years. You now have fabulous wealth. You're trying to sell a book. If anyone was in position to challenge these oppressive white beauty standards, it would be you. You could create a whole new day of fashion acceptance for black women out there, but you don't. Why? Because you choose to be under the oppressive thumb of white people? And I love the implication there. I know she's joking. She's not totally serious with the swimming and the gym joke, but if you believe there's any level of sincerity there, she is saying implicitly that the weight problem that tends to be a big one in the women of color community, that is a product of not going to the gym because they're afraid that their straightened hair will get frizzy and they will be out of compliance with white beauty standards. So they become obese, not going to the gym in order to comply with white beauty standards, actually. Okay.
I use a lot of excuses to not work out, but that one's impressive. I gotta hand it to her. That's a good one.
Well, if you got to keep your hair in accordance with white beauty standards, you got to do what you got to do. But the way she listen to me, listen up, white people, or whatever she said. Okay, listen up, black women, listen up, black people. Oh, right, if I do that, it's racist. I can't do that. But that's not all. That's not even the full extent of the commentary. And by the way, what you're saying is exactly right. The idea that white people sit around being annoyed by hair choices or curly hairstyles that are natural for people of African descent. No, the reason that you're off-putting and annoying is because you never stop bitching. You never stop complaining. You have fabulous wealth. You were the wife of the most powerful man in the world for almost a decade. You still are one of the most culturally influential people in this country, and all you do is bitch. All you do is complain. That's not a white standard. That is just that nobody likes to listen to people complain as much as this lady complains. Has nothing to do with some sort of racial difference. Just stop bitching. For the love of God, stop complaining and appreciate what this country has given you for 5 seconds. Is that too much to ask? But it is too much to ask because that's not all that white oppressive fashion standards have imposed, not just upon Michelle Obama personally, but the black community generally. She gives some additional commentary implying that black people are killed by white people for their clothing choices.
Exposure to the high end of Chicago and to access those places and not be accused of stealing. You realize very early on that you better let them hear you talk or, come in with the right LASAC case or else you would be watched. And, so I think I learned then that how you show up, especially when it comes to white folks looking at young black kids, that how you present can sometimes save your life. I think I was learning that all throughout my youth.
That's an interesting thing.
It never happened. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
I don't even know exactly what she's saying there. Is she saying that people are getting killed for being suspected of shoplifting?
Yes, you're exactly right. She is saying that
when
if
and
you
where?
are exactly name one black person who was killed by a white person over fashion confusion, but really what she's talking about is what you're saying, suspicion of shoplifting. So you're in a nice shopping, some sort of, whatever, nice mall, nice shopping outlet, nice store, and some youths of color come in and they may be dressed in a more urban style. And she's saying that the suspicion that they are thieves based on their dress leads them to be killed. I have never heard of one such example. And I would say that the suspicion that they might be thieves really is probably based on demonstrated behavior of actually being thieves. That's probably where the confusion comes from. If
it is Chicago. She used Chicago as the example. So
yeah. So the suspicion, number one, I'm sure has some justification beyond I don't like black people. There's probably some behavior that establishes the suspicion. But even if it was true that the suspicion was wrongful, when she says it has fatal effects, or at least it could save your life if it weren't for that suspicion, I have no idea what she's talking about. But again, sorry, lady, I don't know what to tell you. First impressions matter. Whether you're shopping at a nice store in Chicago or whether you're doing a job application, the reality is how you present yourself on first encounter influences the way people see you. People make snap judgments about you based on that encounter. You can dislike it. You can say it's unfair. People might be wrong in their first assumption about you based on appearance, but it still means that you have an obligation to present as well as you possibly can with any given person you encounter so that they don't assume terrible things about you. This is true for everybody. If I show up to a job interview looking and acting like a jackass, even if I'm the most qualified person, the smartest guy, would do the job excellently, if I fail that first impression test, that's on me. I dropped the ball. I did something bad to lead them to have a bad assumption about me. Do better next time. Don't show up looking like a complete idiot. Maybe present yourself well. Why is that? Again, the idea that it's racist in nature or there's a racial component here. Everybody should try to present well upon first encounter. That's black, white, whatever you are. Try to get good first impressions.
This is also clearly coming from somebody who has never worked a retail job in her life.
Probably not.
Because if you've ever worked in a retail store, if this is about shoplifting from retailers, you have to make snap judgments on first impressions because that's all you get. It's not like you get to sit down and get to know these people to find out whether or not they are the type of person who's going to shoplift from you. No, you learn how to identify certain things like large bags. She mentioned bag. Yeah. If somebody has a large bag, whether it's just a woman who's carrying a particularly large tote or purse that day, or it's somebody who's coming in with a backpack or baggy clothes. These are the things that they teach you to look out for. Does this person have a bag? Does that bag currently look empty? Do they have baggy clothes? If so, you watch these people because these are the people who will steal from you. This is so stupid.
The patterns are racist, as always. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure we'll be hearing more of Michelle Obama's bitching very soon. So we'll move along. In Bellevue, Washington, this is suburban Seattle, east of Seattle, a man was charged with a hate crime earlier this year because he supposedly yelled a slur at a mother and two juveniles, two teenagers, her son and her son's friend who were in the car before he drew a gun on them in a road rage incident. Kelly Bailey is the name of the man. He's now pleaded guilty to reckless endangerment, but the incident happened back on April 28th. And according to prosecutors, he almost got in an accident with another driver. I don't think this woman is named in the story, but my understanding is white guy, black woman driver. She's got her son, teenage son, and his friend in the car. And they almost have an accident. And he follows them into a parking lot, draws a gun when he saw the two juvenile victims, according to the prosecutor, again, the teenage son and friend of this woman. And that caused them to run away. Like Michelle Obama said, presumably everybody in the car was just dressed the wrong way. And this guy, his racist rage took over. That woman hasn't straightened her hair, and he took off after them with his gun is how this developed. But okay, so there's a near traffic collision. This guy follows them into a parking lot. There's a conflict there, and the mom says that this guy, Kelly Bailey, shouted a racial slur at them when he drew his gun.
He said the N-word.
And for that reason, Bailey was initially charged with a hate crime. But now the hate crime charge has been dropped. And the reason it's been dropped is because Bailey's lawyer says that the claims from the mom are unreliable. In fact, she's told two different versions, or maybe multiple different versions of the story of how this slur happened. Initially, she said that he yelled it out of his car after the near accident. Later, she said that he yelled it after he got out of the car and pointed his gun. Now, according to Bailey, all of this actually stems from the aggression of the road rage from the near collision, but a misunderstanding about who was armed after that. After the near accident, Bailey says one of the teens in the car, he thought that one of those teens had a gun. And he says he thought that he saw the teenager point the gun at him. He has a military background. He says in his military background, he was taught never to turn away from someone with a gun. So he says he pursued to figure out what's going on here. That's probably an unwise decision. Road rage is a terrible choice always, even if you're right as a matter of the right of way or the rules of traffic. Yeah. So mistakes were made by this guy, I think. But the question is, was this a racist incident as it was initially described? Anyway, he's saying, well, I thought there was a gun involved and my military training tells me to neutralize the situation. Okay. All of it started when the mom ran a red light by her own admission. So she nearly causes an accident by running a red light. And so there's a near crash there. And then there's a fight about this crash. So this story became, yes, officer, I ran a red light. I almost caused a serious accident, but the guy did call me the N-word. And so we have to make this a massive legal event. And it's what's interesting about this story, because to the extent guns were drawn, I mean, whether he thought guns were pointed at him or he was incorrect and wrongly pointed a gun himself, this is a story about deploying lethal force. And anytime there's lethal force deployed in an urban environment like this, that's a serious news story, regardless of who's at fault here. But it's interesting that the slur became a central focus of this story. And not just the story, like, yeah, guns were pointed, but did someone say the N-word? That was actually a central component of the prosecution, of the criminal charges. So we're entering a crazy time. And we're not entering it, but it's just our legal system is so silly when what words were used is as relevant to the fact finding as whether or not someone deployed lethal force as a result of a road rage incident. Do you think he did it? Do you think he said it?
I mean, probably, for sure. I'm willing to believe all kinds of things, but there's also no reason to be there's no reason for speech to be prosecuted extra heavily. Like that's a First Amendment violation.
Yeah, just delete the law, the hate crime law, that is.
Yeah.
I'm with Shiloh on this one. The question you got to ask: was she being one? We need to know. Was she being one?
Did KTLA tweet about this one?
I haven't seen the KTLA tweet, but if you know about that joke. Well done. All right. I also have, so this one is from Europe, Northern Ireland specifically. But speaking of public fights, I've noticed this trend of supposed anti-gay attacks in public that turn out not to be after the fact. And they're usually late at night. You think a bar closure around that time. And gay guys claim that they get jumped for some hateful reason and they get beaten because whoever attacked them hates gays. But then later it just turns out that they were drunkenly talking shit and they got into a fight and maybe they lost the fight. But after the fact, they claim that they were targeted for being gay.
I'm gay, you fucking bitch!
In Derry, in Northern Ireland, police reported last weekend that two men, like I said, they were assaulted at 11:30 p.m. on a bridge in the city. No reason at all, just attacked because they're two guys who love each other, something like that. One of the guys had a head injury. The other had facial and hand injuries. In other words, they were probably in some sort of fist fight. Or they have John Fetterman's medical condition and they fell down the stairs and then needed facial stitches for that reason. But the police at the time said this incident's being investigated as a homophobic hate crime. Fast forward to the end of the week, and you get the exact opposite story from police. Upon investigation, police are satisfied that no crime of the nature of what was reported has occurred. So, in other words, it was just two guys being faggots, not necessarily two guys attacked for being gay.
Bingo.
But that's how fist fights develop, Anyway, but that's got to be conclusive. They're not even looking for they're not even looking for witness reports anymore. They're so satisfied that this was not a homophobic attack that it's case closed. And we're just leaving it there. So anyway, any commentary you have on the Derry homophobic hate crime that wasn't?
Well, I mean, it's Ireland. If you're out after 10 o'clock, it's fight time, you know?
I guess. Yeah, that seems like Irish tradition. Actually,
fighting in the streets in Ireland? You're kidding me.
Yeah. Are you of Scottish or Irish heritage? You look like you might be.
Irish, yeah.
Okay, so you know from experience.
Yeah, the Irish have a special word for a fight that ends with someone losing an eye. Like, it's such a common occurrence in Ireland. Like, that's such a common type of fight that they gave it a special name.
What's the name?
Donnybrook.
Donnybrook? I've never heard that. But I guess that's what you do in Ireland, right? Everybody just beats each other's asses, and then they all share a Guinness. And I don't know, whatever. What else?
All of the immigrants that are heading into Ireland, man, you're in for a culture shock. I hope you know how to fight.
I don't know. I mean, they took over England pretty quickly.
That's true. Just stay indoors.
Are Lucky Charms ethnically authentic, or is that made up?
I don't even think they have them in Ireland.
Oh, well, that's all I know about Ireland. Anyway, also have some commentary from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was in Austin, Texas this week for the Texas Tribune Festival. This is the news outlet's annual convention. And during his comments, Tim Walz said that Minnesota formerly had a racist state flag, so he courageously helped to change it.
The idea is of working together, lifting all boats, it works. And so one vote majority continued to pass those things all the way down. The last one on the thing is we had a racist flag. So we got a new flag in Minnesota and got rid of it. So it mattered.
How'd he do it so easily? Well, he just got his friends involved.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Nobody wanted to fight him about it. Do you remember the racist Minnesota flag scandal from early last year?
I don't know that I do remember this one.
They changed it. And this isn't the best image of the flag. I should have got a better one. But the flag depicts, among a lot of things in this artwork, there's like a white settler plowing a field. And then there's kind of an Indian on a horse looking at it. And it has the date of the state's establishment, 1858. Now, what's racist about all that? Well, it is generally a celebration of the colonial era and effort, as in the white settlement of Minnesota at the expense of the native peoples. And so it's viewed as racist for that reason. And they changed the flag in Minnesota under the leadership of Tim Walz. They made it very boring. It's supposed to be some sort of North Star design that kind of generally has the shape of Minnesota there on the left in the darker blue. But a lot of people noticed at the time, it has a very close resemblance to the flag of Somalia and a lot of the Somalian state or regional flags. I don't have all those up, but supposedly there's no relationship, that the Minnesota flag has nothing to do with the flag of Somalia or any of the sub flags of Somalia, but they are pretty similar. So you have to wonder. But the thing for Tim Walz operated under this racist flag in Minnesota for 5 or 6 years. He's been governor since, I think he was elected in 2018. So starting in 2019. When did the flag become racist, or when did he become aware that it's racist? Because he just discovered it 5 years into his gubernatorial term. Oh man, the flag I've been operating under for this whole time is just racist. So I guess I've been, by extension, a racist agent of this racist state. And the answer, of course, is that Tim Walz never gave a shit about the flag, doesn't give a shit about the flag, but that was the fashionable progressive thing to be angry at the time. So he took the opportunity to make himself a hero to the progressive cause du jour by throwing his state's heritage under the bus and acting like he was the hero who ended the era of the racist flag in Minnesota. But people will celebrate this. Even if you agree with it, you have to recognize Tim Walz doesn't give a shit about it. He just, here's the bone I can throw them. And now I'm a hero for it. Look at me. You know, Tim Walz never once thought the flag was racist, and to this day doesn't give a shit about the Indian that was drawn on the Minnesota flag, but they still eat it up.
It would have been great if they just gave it the Land O'Lakes treatment and just removed the Indian. Like, there, fixed it.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have done that. But they have to delete the white guy too, because he's also a problem. Like a white guy clearing some land to make it more agriculturally useful. Can't have it. And for people who enjoy the state of Minnesota, or any state for that matter, for whatever racial injustices you think were committed, how do you think the state that you now enjoy was built? Do you think if the native tribes had retained control and lived the 2 centuries and change, or 1 century and change, I guess we haven't hit 2 centuries of Minnesota statehood, you think it would be like, you think you're going to the Mall of America? You think you're going to the Twins game? You think you're going to the Vikings game? You think you're going shopping in Nicollet Mall? Or you're like Mary Tyler Moore walking down the streets of Minneapolis? If it weren't for the sort of guy in the flag, the white settler plowing the field, growing food. No, of course not. But these people will enjoy the products of exactly what that guy depicted on the flag built, and then act like it's unjust and racist to celebrate him. And even the flag itself, again, I should have got a better image, but it's not as though the white farmer guy is stabbing the Indian. The Indian is on horseback, kind of looking on. You have to interpret it as like the Indian he's like remember the Italian guy in the recycling ad who cried, that Indian actor? He's off in the background with a tear coming from his eye because he knows his land is being settled in that way. I don't know. It's just,
it wasn't the flag wasn't racist before. It was honest.
Well, what
happened.
It is, yeah. You can look at it that way too. Like, it doesn't even have to be a celebration necessarily of the white farmer guy, though. Of course, we should be honest about the people that built the state of Minnesota as it exists today. But you can just look at it as historical fact too. Like, rightly or wrongly, this is what happened. This is how the state was established. They changed the seal too, and they actually removed the date of statehood, 1858, because even that was seen as racist. Like, we don't even want to acknowledge the date of our state's establishment because it was a racist time or something to that effect.
Life must be pretty easy there. They must not have any other problems if this is what they've chosen to solve here. This seems like a luxury problem to me.
Well, I would say go to George Floyd's Square and you'll learn about some problems. But of course, you're much closer to Oakland, so you don't have to go far to learn about the same problems. You know all about them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this next one, I think this is a case of real hate in New York City. You could tell me if you disagree, but when I first saw this story, I was looking through some potential hoax hate candidates. I thought this was a case of a guy stealing pride flags off of buildings in New York City, which we've seen happen. That's not what we're looking at here. This is actually a guy carrying around a pride flag like it's a cape and he's a superhero. And what he's doing is vandalizing churches for pro-gay reasons, accusing them of being anti-gay cults. So it's anti-Christian vandalism is what this guy was committing, if this is in fact authentic. And I actually think it is. But this happened on October 5th. This is Far Rockaway in Queens, in New York City. Police are still looking to identify this guy, so they've released some video on him this week. And you can see this guy spray painting churches and property in front of the churches. So there's no audio here, but he's walking around with his flag. This is kind of overhead of him spray painting on a sidewalk. He said anti-gay cult on the sidewalk in front of one church. Outside of another church, he painted welcome cult members and just the word cult. And, as though what he's doing here isn't cultish behavior in any way. He's got the rainbow mask on even. And what I thought was an interesting difference in this case is that the priest at one of these churches that was vandalized he's quoted in this New York Post coverage. And he says, I don't even think that was really a hate crime. I think it's just, I think it's more just anti-institution. Christian church might be included in his anti-institution views, but I wouldn't even call it a hate crime. And this priest says, I don't think that this guy is representative of the entirety of the LGBTQ community at all.
Wrong.
My point for bringing that up is that the Christian community, I think, contrary to some portrayals, but the Christian community is legitimately persecuted globally, of course, but there's to some extent in the United States too. We saw the Catholic Church shooting in Minneapolis. You've seen hostility toward Christian faith in all sorts of ways. But contrary to the portrayal of hateful bigotry, I mean, this guy is waiting for more information on the guy who did it. He's not jumping to conclusions, and he's not just not victimizing himself, he's avoiding any implication that he's even a victim here, even though if the story is as presented, his property was victimized, it was vandalized. And that's one reason why I buy this story as authentic. There's absolutely no effort from the part of the churches to make themselves victims, to do the GoFundMe bit, to try to blame a whole group of people as responsible. In fact, it's all the opposite. And I just thought this was a very interesting counter case where Christian churches are attacked and none of the typical hoax hate pieces are present.
Yeah,
Any
and they don't
that,
really.
Mr. Skulldugger?
The church doesn't really seem to have anything to gain from this. I mean, you'd be putting your own sort of name out there as something that has a bad reputation. Like you don't. If you are a church in this type of community, you don't want anybody to even think about associating you as an anti-gay cult. So,
what do you make of the commentary? Given the hostility that might exist in New York City, do you think that this priest is being authentic in his lack of assumptions and trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker? Or do you think he's just worried about the mob coming after his church more? Maybe
it could be both.
Not really mutually exclusive, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, it could be both. I mean, I imagine in that area, you probably, as a minister, learn to have a certain level of sympathy and empathy for. If you're in an area that has a larger gay community, you're going to come into contact with more gay people, and you're going to have those conversations. So he's probably had a lot of conversations with gay people, and has probably developed a sort of sense of relationship with the gay people in his community. So I imagine he has a certain level of Christian empathy for the gay people in his community. But at the same time, he doesn't want to get brigaded by the LGBT community from all over the country, all over the world.
Speaking of hoaxes, Christian empathy is a hoax. It's nothing but hateful bigotry anytime you enter a church. That's what I've discovered in my recent year or so of exposure. Now, I would like to think they're going to catch this guy and charge him appropriately, but Kash Patel at the FBI did release a statement saying that he actually has little to no online presence, and despite a rigorous FBI investigation, he remains completely mysterious. We'll never see.
We might be able to do some gate analytics, some gate analysis, because that is a particularly gay saunter that guy
did he
has.
Have one? I didn't. Let me pull it up again.
Oh yeah, especially the one with right here. Like,
it's a little prancy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of pride, he looks very prideful as he's marching around. This one's hard to tell being overhead, but all right. I'm glad we have your confirmation and your expertise. That's a gay walk right there, if I've ever seen. Is there another? Let's see if there's one more. He does the spray paint, then he walks away. Let's see if we get another good view. All right, how gay is this walk? He looks like, I mean, there's pride in that walk. That last walk looks like the walk I'd expect to see in a movie where somebody's walking away from an exploding building, like smoking a cigar or something, because they're glad that they just beat the bad guy. That's kind of what he looks like, except for he just spray painted something super gay on a church. So congratulations.
He was definitely very proud of himself.
Yeah, well, goes with the agenda, it seems. All right, we will leave it there. We'll catch up with Super Chat, and we will call it an evening. Let me pull up our Super Chats. We'll get into it here. Let's see. Over on Rumble, Ninja Kitty Bonk says, Dems won't call out primary or do a damned thing to anyone who associates or associated with Epstein, so long as it was an attempt to punish Trump. And that's what's crazy about the Plaskett stories. You can see, like, even Epstein association itself is permissible, fine, as long as it is a tool to get Trump. And so the Epstein thing is such a weird situation because it's hard to navigate because there are so many competing interests. Like, am I satisfied with the Trump administration's transparency on the Epstein stuff? Absolutely not. I don't think it's sufficient in its own right because there's a lot of information we haven't seen, but I don't think it's sufficient relative to their promises too. They told us to expect big things. They've delivered none of it.
Right.
I know Trump calls it a Democrat hoax. Clearly it's not a hoax, the entirety of the Epstein situation and the relationships he had, but the nugget of truth there is that it is utilized by Democrats for political purposes. And we know that with their selective releases of files that are supposed to make Trump look bad. But man, is this Plaskett thing crazy in that regard. Like, yes, not only will we allow Epstein association if it's useful to get Trump, we will actually solicit Epstein's consultation, which is what Plaskett was doing to get Trump. And I think it's fair to question, too. Now, Plaskett, of course, is going to have kind of presumably a closer relationship with Epstein, given her representation of the Virgin Islands and proximity to Epstein Island and all that. But if there's one member of Congress with a texting relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, is she the only one? Were there group chats? Who else was talking to Epstein in Congress on a regular basis like this? I doubt she was the only one. Anyway, thank you.
I doubt it as well. It's likely there's no way she's the only one.
Who is in the group chat? We'll never know. Let's see. Over on YouTube and Tippy. Let's see. We got producer Tim. Right. Yeah. Okay. So Injured Guardians was up next. Is Newbie of Death trying to one-up L-Bot? Yeah, I don't know. It's a super chat bit, man, and he's committed to that bit for sure. So maybe he is trying to be the one and only L-Bot. I don't know. It just wants me to press the button. And even though I have an ethical dilemma about pressing the button that came from the Charlie Kirk assassination press conference. As far as hilarious quotes uttered by public officials at podiums, that might be the most hilarious one ever.
You put it on the soundboard for a reason. So.
I'll never delete it. Thoughts and blogs. So good to see Skulldugger on the show. Also, the Virgin Islands are incredibly corrupt. I had many clients there. Money buys anything, particularly government permits and politicians.
I bet.
Yeah, well, I assume Jeffrey Epstein chose the Virgin Islands not just for the beach life, although I'm sure it's fantastic. But you can get beach life in Florida. You can get beach life in California, Hawaii, lots of places with beach life. What was it about the Virgin Islands that were so suitable for the project that was Epstein Island? Presumably there's a reason for that, and I'm sure Thoughts and Blogs is onto that. Perfect gentleman. Upgrade to Gorilla Tape, you low down, no good money grabber. Thank you for the show. I'll deploy Gorilla Tape too. Michelle Obama will call me racist though if I do. It's unfair tape standards.
Well, she'll call you racist either way. So
that's true. There's no escaping that. Thank you for your contribution to the show. Gorilla products are always welcome. They're too fancy for my production though. Gorilla Tape stuff. Although if I got stuff to fix around the house, Gorilla Tape and Gorilla Glue are a go-to product. I don't have any endorsement deal, of course. I just find them to be very useful. When I did the Halloween show a couple weeks ago, Skulldugger, you may have seen, but couldn't get those braces to stick to my teeth. They were like fake braces or braces that orthodontists are supposed to use. They're supposed to kind of like clip into your teeth around your back molars, but they didn't really fit my teeth or my mouth. Double-sided Gorilla Tape straight to the to the front teeth, and it stuck on for half the show. So Gorilla, if you need impromptu dental work, I'm sure Gorilla products will work well for that too. Injured Guardian, Sheridan over enjoys writing raps and he had to censor it because of Raja Mohan. Sheridan over-enjoys writing rapes, like rape scenes. Drunk whores. In one show, a mom trains her daughter to be the latter at age 17, and the dad loudly turns a blind eye. I guess I haven't seen all of Sheridan's shows, and I would say that given the grand scheme of Hollywood sexual degeneracy indulgence that I've seen, I wouldn't necessarily rank Sheridan higher than the norm, but of course you have to question the norm. Have you seen... was it 23 or 28? It was 1923, right? The Yellowstone spinoff?
Yes.
You've seen that show? Have you seen this?
Yes.
I think they did it in both seasons, but I did think, even though I mostly loved the show, hated the ending, won't spoil anything. Second season got a little silly in some of its premises, but great show if you love the Yellowstone universe, still would recommend. However, some of the prostitution scenes with the villain guy, what's his name? The guy who's trying to, get the Duttons out of their land, which is what every villain in the Yellowstone universe tries to do. But, he's got the two younger prostitutes and he's making them do violent things to each other. I thought that was a little indulgent. Do you agree with, it was a little, we get it. This guy likes to abuse women for his sexual kicks. I understand. I don't need 10 minutes that are incredibly uncomfortable to watch with my mom and dad because we like to watch that as a family. My mom and dad are listening right now to the show. Sorry, mom and dad, as things you don't want to watch with your parents. But I don't want to watch that with anybody, actually. I don't want to watch that with my wife either. It's just if the point is that this guy gets sexual kicks from degeneracy, what is the intent of me watching it insofar as it doesn't really serve a plot point? Eventually it served a point because one of them, spoiler alert, one of them died. So it does create something plot relevant, but I didn't need to see 10 minutes of the nonsense to get there. It implies to me that you think we all should get some kind of jollies out of watching this, which if he's bad for enjoying that, why are you putting it... I get what you're saying, I guess. Is if I had a criticism of Taylor Sheridan beyond just he writes himself into horse riding scenarios too much, maybe it is a little over the top with some of its sexual indulgence. Anyway, still a big fan, still gonna watch 1940 whatever that's coming out, and there's a Beth and Rip.
I mean, as far as writing goes, it's still even the bad stuff is still better than a lot of the other crap that's out there right now.
Yeah,
so.
I think he makes a good product. So I see, a few gripes aside, still something that we enjoy watching. Joshy boy, and thank you, Injured Guardian. In my state, the EBT card does expire at some point and has to be renewed. At least last I checked. Could have changed over the years, though. Of course, Joshy boy is my favorite nougat from Nougat. So that would be Tennessee, where you have to renew. Thank you for the clarification on that. He also says, Matt, you're going to hear me complain about how black women present themselves in public. I'm sure you have plenty of complaints, Joshy boy. And what did Michelle Obama say? Another piece of her commentary, I didn't pull it, but I think it was on this same tour. She said something about as black women, we are constantly silent about our pain.
I doubt it.
Okay.
Not all of you.
Yeah, there's not a lot of silence in that community, okay? I know not all, and not everyone's an individual. Not a lot of silence in that community, generally speaking. Producer Tim says, Razor Fist and other people, also to be fair, have made the point a bunch of times. If you can flee your country and come to somewhere like America, there's no incentive to fix your own country. That changes when you're stuck in said country. So this is about the Mexico riots. But yeah, I mean, there is an argument there. As someone who, if I thought about my ideal immigration policy, of course, it's not open doors. Anybody can come in whenever they want. And I think even programs like H-1B are so thoroughly abused that you have to raise questions about even things that are in premise about bringing in skilled workers to do jobs that Americans can't do because they lack the skills. If I was going to design my own immigration program, I would say it's got to be something. Some people would say none, and frankly, given the state of our country, I can't say that you're wrong. Like zero, and let's get until we can figure out what the hell is going on. But if there is genuine talent, people who own businesses, people who have built something and want to bring what they've built to this country to provide opportunity in this country, I'm open to that. I think that maybe provides benefit to our country, and we should consider that. But the problem is, as you're talking about here, you could make the argument that deprives the countries they're coming from of the top talent that is necessary to build those countries up and bring them into prosperity. Now,
sure.
I guess the question there is, what is the true America First policy? Is it America First to bring in someone of incredible talent and wealth who has built something that could provide Americans opportunity here in this country? Or is it America First to say no immigrants, and that guy stays in his country to build whatever it is he wants to build, even if he is a guy of exceptional talent, building incredible wealth, but it's going to be built elsewhere? What do you think is the more, if you came at this, well, I guess number one, what would be your preferred immigration policy? And number two, if you had to decide which one of those was the America First policy, quote unquote, which one do you think it would be?
So it would be nice to have the luxury of shutting off the immigration tap. Unfortunately, as a country that is below its replacement birth rate and about to have the largest generation we've ever had exit the workforce entirely over the next 10 years. We have a bunch of workers leaving, and we don't have a bunch of workers coming on to replace them. And then that's just going to compound every year after that because of our dwindling birth rate. So unfortunately, in order to keep up our economy, especially from a tax standpoint, because we spend so much money, we have to import labor from outside. Trump is 100% right on his stance. On this matter. We don't have all of the laborers in all of the sectors that we need to keep this economy afloat.
Boo.
Does that mean that we should be importing anyone from everywhere? No, absolutely not. We need to have a perspective of who we're bringing in. There should not be anybody coming in from China while we are in a Cold War with China. And there's been a huge issue with Chinese espionage.
We're bringing more of their students in. Got to fill our college campuses with Chinese students.
India is not exactly our friend either. I think we need to be targeting countries that have a pro-American stance. Countries that are invested in the continuation and the benefit of America.
It's not enough just to have an Indian immigration moratorium. At this point, we have to send sabotage drivers to India to right these wrongs. Okay, we have to go crash big rigs in India just to make sure that the score is even here. That's my policy on Indian immigration. But okay, on the second question though, well, I guess I would gather what you would answer, how you would answer that based on your answer. You would, if people have something they've built that is of incredible success and they want to build the company here in the United States, it sounds like you'd be in favor of that. Is that fair to say, or am I mischaracterizing?
Yes. Okay. I mean, those would be American jobs. So,
do you think that what do you make of the argument that doing so stops or extracts talent from countries that need to build themselves up? That taking their best talent in that way, their best hypothetical future resources in these businesses that would be built, actually ensures that they stay in a state of poverty and have to keep sending refugees to other countries. What do you make of that?
It would be incumbent on that country to not let those people go. So if your country needs you to stay and be the developer in that country, then that country needs to do what it needs to do to keep you there, whether it means incentivizing you to stay or flat out preventing you from leaving.
I was going to say, up to and including the gun pointed at your face, or what?
Yeah, well,
I guess I don't know how it works.
Not every country is as free as we are. So
when you leave, do you need permission in that way? I guess I don't know what the process is. Do you have to have your country sign off on your immigration plans? Is that a necessary thing? I have no idea.
I would imagine so, because the State Department needs to know, the State Department of every country needs to know when its people are leaving, for what purposes and for how long, in order to know when to expect you back.
Thank you for your insights. Injured Guardian says, watch the John Wayne film The Quiet Man ASAP. I don't know it. I haven't seen it. It is a movie after all, so I haven't seen it. But man, I know I talk about watching Taylor Sheridan stuff. Now we caught up on Yellowstone. We watched 1923. But man, like especially right now with the third kid, there's not a lot of entertainment viewing other than watching the Vikings lose games. And I shouldn't be watching the NFL anyway. But yeah, for the time being, like movie watching time is very, very slim. But maybe in the near future, once we get through the newborn needs, we can get back to watching some movies once in a while as well. Do you know that movie, The Quiet Man?
I've heard of it. I'm not. The title sounds familiar, but I'm not recalling anything about it.
Guess I'll have to check it out. Thank you, Injured Guardian. We're good on Rumble. We're good on Odyssey. So we will call it there. Anything else you want to mention before we're out of here, Skulldugger?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting in tonight. Much appreciated. Thanks to all our live chatters and super chatters for making the live show a success. If you're just tuning in live, thank you as well. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Appreciate it. Thanks to my guest, Bearing. Find his YouTube channel and X account linked in the description. Or his X account, I should say. He doesn't have more than one. But both of those links are in the description for you. Thanks to Skulldugger for his contributions in skullduggery this evening. Producer Tim, thanks for his assistance as always. Find everything show-related at mattchristiansenmedia.com. If you want to find past episodes of the show, you want to participate in the Bible study, you want to send me an email, you want to pick up a t-shirt, anything show-related, mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay. If you prefer brevity, yes, that's a real website. Try it. I promise it's even safe for work. I'm back on Sunday and Wednesday nights. Have a great night and a great week.